Our eyes and experience tell us the earth is alive and motionless, and everything in the sky revolves around us. Eyes and experience tell us the earth is alive and motionless, and everything in the sky revolves around us. All turned around the sun and shot through into space from a godless big bang that turned humanity into a random. Eyes and experience tell us the earth is alive and motionless, and everything in the sky revolves around us. Shot through into space from a godless big bang that turned humanity into a random.
Enough of that shit. Trying to figure out what the hell that was. What is up, people?
Some feedback. What's up? What's happening?
Yeah, big time. Let me get this fixed real quick. That shit is. I call that my epic fail for not being on for so long. Will not happen again.
You're a little rusty.
little rusty, just a tad. Man,
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I haven't been on so long, man. Fucking been frustrated.
Wow,
big time. Got all my settings are all off, and mic's going off everywhere.
Yeah, well, man, that's a little bit out of practice.
I deserve it. That's
it's like riding a bike.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking, I'll get it by the next one, but this is gonna be a fun one. I don't think I've done as much research into a topic as I did in the past 72 hours over this one.
Wow, I could be in trouble.
Yeah, man. It's see where you're coming from, and before I even start, I'm not debunking
Morgellons. I get you.
But it's definitely not, and that's the other part, because depending on where you get your information from, you're going to hear it, hear different reasons and different things about it. But there were so many consistent things that I saw researching it that it's not from cloud seeding. There's, as far as I'm concerned, there's too much technology on the ground, too much nanotechnology that they're trying to do now that a big waste of money for them.
All right, just real quick, I want to say this. Like I don't know like a lot about Morgellons per se, but I'm pretty good with the mechanics of how, or the biology I should say, of certain things, which are basically, I don't want to say the cause, but the the thing called Morgellons or whatever, because it's kind of linked to Lyme's disease. So I understand that biology. I don't necessarily have or get information from anybody on Morgellons because I don't really look into it. But I got my own kind of theory on it for sure, and I just kind of back that up with the science that I understand. Through the biological function of the cells themselves that create the organism. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I just have a take on it where it's actually been weaponized, and it just happens to be that dispersal by air is not only very efficient, but it's cheap. And I definitely think that Morgellons, even down to the, oh, excuse me, this train. I don't know if
Never.
y'all can hear that, but I'm trying to mute it.
No, it's not that
All
bad.
right, yeah. Um, like I just think that, like I said, from the disease itself, how it's classified to be something that doesn't have a cure, it's unknown. The mechanism that it possibly is based upon being Lyme's disease, which is one of these diseases that's like luggage. You keep that shit forever. It ain't going nowhere. So it's the perfect vehicle. It's the perfect front. That delivery type of system where, oh, it's a derivative, or it's akin to Lyme's disease, something that we don't know much about. Like, we know how you get it, but we don't know how to cure it or anything like that. And it just so happens that Morgellons is even more misunderstood, but it's in a classification strictly to itself, just because of the fibers. So, and like I said, to me, it makes perfect sense for them to develop this. And it's not just a biological weapon. It's also, from what I understand, it's got that nanotechnology in it where it becomes a functioning machine, whether it's electrical transmission or even data mining, for that matter. And there are patents for some of these things that where they can get into your thoughts, so to speak. It's just miniaturized. So just wanted to kind of say that real quick. I don't really get information from this from anybody else. I just kind of understand certain things and formulate my own,
Yeah. Well, no. What you said,
hypothesis.
it makes sense. Um, like I said, kind of the side I started my research on was more of the side of, I don't know how to say this. Okay, so I noticed that obviously different groups are of different beliefs, whether it's religion, whether it's I think this is happening or this is happening, they're gonna basically come up with their own information to make it work. Um, the problem I have with what I was, how do I say it? So we had talked about this before, as in, we knew eventually this conversation would happen between me and you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we actually got this conversation. I had the preview of hearing Morgellon experts, not even experts, but people who have been looking in and researching it for many, many years.
Hmm.
Definitely more longer than I have. Um, the problem with what the information I was getting from them was it basically took every bit of research I was doing and said it was bullshit.
Okay.
So instantly, me, I got to figure out what's going on and who's full of it, and I considered it fear porn. What I was hearing at the time, um, you can't take certain things and wrap it around your ideas and and just make it work. Um, I'm trying to figure out a way to explain it without sounding like a complete asshole.
No, I mean
but
it
I know
is
I'm
what it.
going
No,
to.
I know what you mean. I know what
Yeah.
you mean. It don't work that
Um,
way. I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, yeah. So, I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyway, because you guys already know my views on religion and all that stuff.
Man,
Um,
speak your mind. You know how we do. Come on,
no,
bro.
no, and that's the thing. I'm realizing because I'm trying to figure it out, but I just realized I can't figure out a way to say it. I can only, be me and say it the way I say it.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I don't care about religion, as in people, having their faith and all that good stuff. Um, but when you're wrapping an ideal of what's actually happening on this earth with that, that's when I kind of get I have to speak my mind about it, which is what I definitely want to do for this.
Hmm.
You can't take certain pieces of the Bible and whatever suits your ideas of something, use it there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cherry picking.
when you come, yeah, exactly. When you come from a place where every single thing, technology wise, science wise, everything is just, you don't believe it, you got to realize that at that point, you're no longer living, so to speak, because every day you have to use science. Every day science is involved in your life. And if you believe it's a lie, everything you're doing is a lie. So obviously it can't be 100% all lies. Um, so when I hear these things from a different group or a different idea of something, and everything out of their mouth is all 100% negative, that's when red flags start coming up.
Negative meaning
Uh,
what? As to what you're bringing to the table, or just the
um,
topic in
any
general?
any any we'll use, for instance, weather modification and Morgellon, because I mean that's exactly what it was all about.
Okay.
Um, we know they're using aluminums, different different chemicals to do different things, but we also know exactly what those chemicals do in the sky. We know how they react to UV. We know how they react. We know we have a basic structure for what weather modification is now. It's not, we're not in complete darkness anymore about it.
Right.
So what happens is when basically what I was told to me and a group of others, during the live stream, was basically that cloud seeding, the government's way of spreading Morgellon. Here's the problem with that. There's only 300,000 cases of Morgellon, right?
All right. Yeah.
Which just so happens to be the number of Lyme disease cases. Exact same number. I looked 3 or 4 times, and 5 different websites said the same thing. Lyme disease, 300,000. So that's a red flag to me. So I
Well,
went to case
it's a stat.
studies.
You got to kind of take stats with a grain of salt.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm not using that as my all go. That was just
Right,
one thing
right,
that went,
right.
that doesn't make sense. So what happened was I ended up looking through case studies, peer reviews. I got more case studies from the Morgellon Research Federation than any other site. So that's what kind of put me over to realizing what I thought it was. But basically, the lady that was talking was expressing that weather modification is basically just to do that. That's what I took from it.
I would have stopped her right there. See, this is the thing. At least to me, because this is just my fault. But um, when we talk about weather modification or whatever the fuck they're actually doing up there, it's just like everything else, where it's a multifaceted application where they might release whether it's a chemtrail or whatever else. They'll release a chemtrail, but that chemtrail has several purposes. it's
exactly.
obviously it's obviously doing whatever it's doing as far as the reflectivity and what they're trying to do with the solar ray, whatever, all that stuff. It's also releasing whatever is making up that cloud in the first place, or that trail. Eventually that shit's going to settle down. Now the thing about the numbers that you used, like the 300, it would be a red flag for me too, primarily because Morgellons is a disease that they know very little about. They 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 only have the likeness or the similarity of Lyme's disease to draw upon, but yet it's completely something that's separate to itself, and the fibers are what make this so. So for there to be 300 or whatever the number was, exactly 300, and it matches exactly with 300 Lyme's disease, to me that's kind of suspect just for that, and the rarity of what Morgellons is, or how they classify it. So I think something's wrong with that number, and it probably doesn't represent the truth. Um, Now, see, like I was saying before, when they want to weaponize something, it's not necessarily their intent to kill off everybody. Every person is unique unto themselves as far as their immunity, the way that their body functions and responds to different things, whether it's chemicals or pathogens and whatever else. Everybody's not going to fall victim to whatever things are placed out there. This is why they attack you on so many fronts, because that's how they try to cover the table and get something wrong with everybody where they can control you ultimately. So yeah, I do think that these people that you were kicking it with, I don't really know nothing about them, but I do definitely think that they're pushing this fear porn type of thing, trying to make it seem like that's the only reason why they're up there spraying chemtrails or whatever the case may be. But to me, it's not even about that being specialized for one specific thing. It's multifaceted. It doesn't serve just one purpose.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, definitely. And yeah, that's what it was. It was the fact that we know they do so. They're basically 100,000 different reasons for chemtrails,
yeah, right,
but they
exactly.
definitely they were definitely only advertising the one. Um,
Well,
the
just
problem,
real quick. I don't mean to cut you off, but just real quick. But people tend to do that, particularly like in the YouTube thing, because it's like they become specialized at it. They don't necessarily have the resources or the time to go at everything on that level. So they just focus on one thing, and then it's like that's their baby, and it's all about what their you know what I mean.
that's
If
what I
people
find so hard. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, if people don't realize that anything that we deem is not good for us, and we see it as some sort of an attack, whether it's covert or out in the open, obvious, it's always multifaceted. It's never specifically to do one thing. If it's like a fail safe. It's what you call return on investment, because it's all about money. These people
Yeah.
want the maximum bang for their buck. They're gonna create something that it's like the old adage, kills two birds with one stone. They want that thing to be like a grenade and spread out in every direction, and that's just the different facets of what they use these things to attack. That's all it is. Everything's multifaceted. Nothing is specialized as far as a weapon is concerned on that level.
Yeah. That's definitely what the issue I think is more. It's not as in maybe there's more to the cloud seeding, but like you're saying, that's their area of the topic, so that's what
Right.
they're running with. The issue I have with that is exactly what happened with me. You, if someone knows anything about, you don't even have to know, ever do research, just heard enough live streams to know that
Hmm.
they do this or this with it, that it's going to turn you away, because then it seems like you don't know who to trust. And that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like when I'm doing my stuff, obviously I've not I haven't really been streaming so much, flat earth. It's been more what's going on flat earth type shit.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, I I try, or at least in my brain I think I am, making it clear that this is one part of the cloud seeding they're doing, but there is more. I know cause I've kind of gone to different, hurricanes, tornadoes, seeding and reasons
Yeah,
for
see,
it, all that
yeah,
stuff.
I see that because I deal with you and I understand that you're more in depth with it and you're not shallow about the topics. You actually take the topic and break it down into its different aspects, and then you expound upon each one to give people the whole picture. I know how you get down. These other people don't know how you get down, so
Mm.
they don't see it like that. But the people that that support you and follow you, they understand that you're thorough like that. So. But I mean, I agree. I think that it's definitely your approach is versatile. So that's not even a question to me. When I say the things that I say, I'm just speaking to like people in general, or these types that take a specific action that's performed and solely dedicated to one thing, and this is what they're doing it for, and it doesn't serve any other purpose. I think those people are naive.
It definitely doesn't help.
Yeah,
At
not
the
at
time,
all.
at the time, to be honest, it was a live stream that I felt if I had interjected into it, it would have been more of like a debate about what cloud seeding does.
Right,
And
right.
the place I was, I wasn't gonna do that. I had too much respect for the streamer themselves, and
Right. You don't want to clash.
I yeah, I just backed out, and I just kind of just that's from that day on is basically when it started up, and I just dove head into this. Um, I knew nothing about Morgellon. I think you had to explain to me what the fuck it was a week or two ago, right?
Yeah, it was a
You
while
kind of gave
ago.
me
I
a
kind of touched on it.
yeah, you gave me a little breakdown of it, which is actually exactly how I like to go into it because then I didn't have well, I had a kind of bias already because of the situation that had happened, but not
Yeah.
knowing anything about it forced me to find out what people who say they have it
Right.
believe, and also searching, believe it or not, searching for a source that didn't even was difficult to do.
Right, because there's nothing like it.
Um,
And that's
yeah,
that's what makes it so strange is those fibers. There's nothing like it. And like I said, they've done some,
okay.
there's some stuff out there. It's
Oh,
pretty interesting about them
oh yeah.
fibers.
But here's the problem with those fibers. Or here. Let me back up. Here's the problem I have with the cloud seeding idea of this Margella. It is so if it's a nanotechnology, nano or what the fuck they call it? They call it it would be considered nano medic, medical or some shit like that. It's what I
You're
actually.
breaking up a little bit.
Hang on, let me do this. All right, that should be better. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, I'm actually looking for the word in my notes because I don't use the nano words all the time, so I don't have the site pulled up, so I can't just read it off that.
No, that's fine.
Basically, oh damn, right in front of my face. Um, it's nanotech, but it's called. And while I'm searching for that, which crazy enough actually sent me into an old topic of Las Vegas. Remember Las Vegas shootings?
Yeah,
Yeah, this whole thing is going to turn full circle and end up right in Vegas's lap. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, it's basically just nanotech. When I come across the word, it's nano something, but basically, it's an that would make it an organism that feeds off of a certain, it needs something. In this case, it would be basically them engineering a bacteria to feed off blood cells or the metals
yeah.
in your body.
Yeah, it's
The
in
problem with
essence
that is,
it's like a cyborg. I mean,
yeah, exactly, yeah. But the problem with that is if they're spraying when you cloud seed, you don't get to aim. You can get a rough patch of somewhere, but you're not going to
I'm
get
sorry, bro. You might have to repeat that because this alarm went off and it just went. I didn't hear nothing. My bad.
basically when you cloud seed, there's you can you can get a neighborhood, you can get a street, nitpick. You're not gonna be able to nitpick people. Now, there's roughly 3 point something billion people on this planet. Um, I the numbers don't add up for me. You can't have a select few that have it when you're cloud seeding, which is why I would think if they are, if
Sure you can.
Morgellon,
Why
how?
not? Like I said before, it's like that's like saying how come everybody's not diabetic, or how come everybody doesn't have lupus, or how come
Okay,
everybody's
and
not how come everybody's not infected with the common cold as we speak right now, which there's no
because
cure for.
those aren't
Everybody's different.
that's not
See,
nanotechnology.
but yeah, and I get that, but what I'm saying is the nano portion of it is just so basically whatever they're trying to do ultimately as far as manipulating your physical body through means that you'll be you're basically unaware of is the nanotechnology would come into play. It doesn't have anything to do with the dispersal and the people that are susceptible to it. You know, it's just like, just like different people have different levels of exposure to whether it's the sun or heat, whatever. Everybody acts or reacts differently to things. So for in the event of like cloud seeding or whatever, it's, like I'm just thinking from like the evil genius perspective right now. If I was one of these sick sadistic type motherfuckers and I just wanted to get a whole bunch of people sick, not necessarily kill them, but get them sick or infect them with some kind of bio agent that I could somehow tap into their physiology and control them, in ways to basically be the puppet master. I would absolutely fly some shit up into an airplane and disperse it because that's the easiest, most efficient, and effective way to disperse anything that's whatever, you know the word I'm talking about, aerosolized,
There
or
you go.
even taken down to the nano level. That you would probably get even more of a dispersal out of a nanotechnology because it has more of an ability to stay aloft. You can cover quite an area with some shit like that. And like I said before, to me, it's like a no-brainer that chemtrails are the perfect delivery system for something like that, along with whatever else the chemtrails do with the introduction of the chemicals and the heavy metals into the air.
You don't think
That,
water
but that
supply, or better
see,
yet,
but
water supply, or here's the thing,
all right. No, hold on. Let's back this up for a second
it's
because now you
optional.
said something about the water supply. Now, are you aware, because it's in the title now, your toxoplasmosis or whatever it's called is
Oh, no,
connected
no,
to the.
don't go there because that's actually my favorite on the freaking planet. That is by
Okay,
far.
but and it's
Oh,
very
I love that
old.
one.
It's
Oh, it
one
is
of the
very, very
oldest.
old.
Okay, and it also it's like it's one of these things that you would call a eukaryote
Hmm.
because it has certain features that the prokaryote doesn't.
Yes. Matter of fact,
So
we can go into it because I
okay, so boom,
when I
now
heard
peep
about this
game
thing, I
though.
fell in love with it.
Yeah, okay, but so now peep game though. But this is the thing that makes it the perfect bio weapon because it's based on a platform that's basically been around since life existed in the form of a prokaryote or a eukaryote. You know what I'm saying? So
But
when these people get to the point where they know how to manipulate and culture these types of things or whatever else, and to actually weaponize them, dude, that's what it's about. The eukaryote and the prokaryote, that's the building block of life, period, as far as an organism is concerned. Without those, you have nothing.
okay, yeah.
This
Oh, well,
this
it's
is why
definitely
this is why they
it opened their eyes to what real mind control could be.
yeah, well, this is where the bioengineering slash how the electronics can actually be interfaced with the blood and tissue of a human entity, or even any entity that's got blood in an
Oh,
electrical
well,
signal.
and this is also why my feeling about this cloud seeding and then getting it would be the problem is that we're deep into nanotechnology right now.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's like I'll show you guys in a second, but I have it's like a list of 100 different nano whatever from medical,
Yes.
transportation, IT, communications, everything. That's why I believe that cloud seeding seems kind of ridiculous to me.
No,
Um,
it's purely about the dispersal method when it comes to that type of shit, and
okay,
it being in the
but I
sky.
believe in any given day, especially across this world, which if they cloud seeded and first we'll say it's
Hmm.
not the efficiency of that because it still has pipes. You know what I mean? I mean, so
Yeah.
it's easier if you just
Listen.
put it in a water source.
No,
But here's
no,
the thing:
no,
you don't
because
even have to do that.
listen. It's a fiber. It's better off being
No, 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 no,
inhaled.
no. It's not a fiber.
Well, let me change that. You're right. It's not a fiber, but it's a particle. Let's say, because the Morgellon fibers are something that actually grow up out of the skin. It's not something that floated down
Well,
from the air and
you're right.
then
We're going to go into
inhaled.
that one too.
But what I'm saying is the actual whatever it is, let's just say that causes Morgellons to begin with, it's something that's inhaled. So yes, it still may have the ability to infect per se when it's in the water and then it goes through the process and whatever else. Yeah, it may have the ability to survive that process, but then it's, instead of it being 75 to 80%, viral or effective or whatever you want to call it, it reduces its efficacy down to like maybe 40 or 50%. And you would have to really have a super compromised immune system for it to take hold in your body. And there are people like that, you know what I mean? But everybody's not like that. So ultimately, I think that this technology, because it's so small and it's on a nano scale, aerosolization or aerial dispersion is by far the easiest, most cheapest, and most effective way to do it. Now, as far as the water supplies and even the food supplies and all this other stuff, now the Morgellons, Lyme's disease, and a couple other things are connected to this toxoplasmosis gondii or whatever they call the thing. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The Gandhi thing
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it's called. Like that shit's everywhere. It's in the water, it's in food, it's everywhere. It's all over the world. This is something that's a part of this system. It's just like anything else within your body. Your body has thousands of parasites and bacteria. And if they're not kept in check, guess what happens? They get out of control. And then you get what? Things like yeast infections or jock itch, athlete's foot, which is a yeast. Listen, but
Yeah.
it's a yeast and
Yeah.
all of
Oh
this
yeah.
shit. And all this shit's tied right back to the toxicity thing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the perfect host
But
for a biological weapon.
here's the issue. Okay, so if you got Lyme disease in your lungs, you're gonna be pretty fucked. It can't be
See, this is
aerosol and
I
get into your
but this is
lungs.
where but this is where I think you're kind of not seeing the how it actually may enter the body. It doesn't enter the body as uh what did you just say? Fucking in your lungs. I
Yeah,
just kind of
aerosol.
No, you said something goes into your lungs or whatever. Oh, Lyme's disease.
Lyme
So
disease. Yeah.
basically, like, okay, it gets dispersed, whatever, blah blah. It's in the air. Now it's you can inhale it or you can absorb it through the skin because it's on such a small
Well,
scale that it
That
works on
that's
that
basically
level.
that's what I've heard. Basically, is where it's
Absorption,
more. Yeah.
right? But this is why you don't necessarily want to put it in water. As far as being a weapon, but if it gets into the water, yeah, it still may attack the people that have the super weak immune system. But in general, it's not going to be effective. So yeah, the air is the key. But now just think when this stuff's coming down, whatever the hell it is that they've created per se. It's not in the form of Lyme's disease. It's just what it is as far as whether you can classify it as a fucking cell or it's definitely an organism, but it's
We'll
on a
call it
nano scale.
Morgellons we'll call it Morgellons for now, but
Well, no,
it
I
would
don't
have
want
to
to
be
call. I don't
engineered
listen.
to
I don't
be
want to call
Morgellon.
it. No. It does not have to be engineered to be Morgellons. All it has to do is be engineered to attack the immune system to allow some of these other things to take hold and take place.
Okay,
So,
I
so
see.
what? Right, and it just so happens to be that whether it was packaged to be this way or whether it's just on some sort of a side effect that's good for them because however it comes to be Lyme's disease, it's a combination of things that attack your immunity that allow this toxo-Gandhi thing slash Lyme's disease, which is a very broad thing because basically it's like everything else where you get flu-like symptoms. Every damn illness known has like a flu-like symptom, so it's all the same shit. It's just given a different name, packaged up in a different way, and thrown in your fucking face so you can become susceptible to it on some level because everybody's different. But
Okay.
it's not necessarily something that is floating in the air as Lyme's disease. It's just whatever it is goes into the body, and then it starts to do what it does, on a molecular level or a nano level, and then you take into consideration the foods that are deplete of the nutrients and minerals you need to rebuild the body and whatever, blah, 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 the chemicals you're exposed to, this, that, and the other. And it's just, it's an overall effect on a biological system. It's like a chemistry set. Once you start fucking with shit, now you got a living fucking, technically, it's like a living fucking Frankenstein. Got shit growing in there that don't belong. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So, but here's the issue. This I got bits of issues every time you say one something.
I know.
And this is also why I can't hold on to this. I can't be a believer of it.
You shouldn't be.
If I get the flu right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you get the flu right now, 95% of the time we're gonna have similar symptoms, but we'll have something that is different. My stomach may be completely messed up. Your head may be completely congested. The problem I have is that every single person that has Morgellon has the exact same effects of it. Nothing goes different. It's all the same. Each report
Okay,
is
right.
almost.
Okay, now think about this.
Hang
All
on.
right, good.
But the problem is, here's another problem I have. I believe, even if it's not Lyme disease, it is self-diagnosed before they go to the doctor. I think everyone who's had this, I don't think any of them have never heard of Morgellon before they had it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's something it's been around. The first case I know of is something like 39 or something like that, 1939.
Okay, here's the other problem. It has been spoke of since the 17th century.
Okay,
1800s.
that's cool.
Here, but the problem with that is I'm sorry, they didn't have nanotechnology in the 1800s.
Yes,
and
but
I know,
see, I'm gonna stop you right there because you kind of like completely disregarded one of the main things that I said, that it's a bio weapon where they take a natural biological function and they weaponize it. Of course, it's been around since the 17th century. Nobody just knew about it or talked about it because they probably didn't. The general public or whatever didn't understand that type of stuff.
Well, the reality of it is we still don't know about all the
They didn't have to.
parasites that
See,
are around for sure.
But think about it. In the 17th century, you might have had a handful of cases, in the entire world, where now 300 might not really seem like a lot, but considering the type of biological, weapon that it may be that they're trying to perfect or experiment with, of course, it makes sense now that you have the involvement of airplanes and you have dispersal methods. Now more people are susceptible to it. And like I said, it's something that's biological, so it's always been here. It's just been basically understood, hijacked, manipulated, and weaponized.
But I can't. But the numbers still.
They didn't have to seed it back then.
But that's like saying if they didn't cloud seed, everyone would still get it. but the method
Well,
the method of cloud seeding is so effective, then it should be more of an epidemic, not a
no,
few cases
no,
here.
not at all.
And the justification of the CDC for not classifying it as something is because there's no it's like going, I have Lyme disease, but we don't see Lyme, we don't see the the things we see when someone comes in with Lyme disease. We don't see a tick hole. We don't see, certain
Right.
blood
So
levels or
how
being like
so
that.
so right now knowing how Lyme's disease is actually obtained, and we know it's contracted by a bite from a deer tick or whatever case may be. How can you explain somebody getting something that's basically categorized because they don't know nothing about it as Lyme's disease, but yet they have no bite marks anywhere or any place where something could have bitten them and it got into their
Perfect,
system?
perfect question, because I got an answer for you. You ready?
Hmm.
So, do you consider a disorder?
Do I consider Morgellons a disorder?
No, no, jealousy, like being jealous.
Is jealousy a disorder?
Hmm.
I mean, it can be. I mean, I think that it's got potential to be a
Okay,
disorder, but
okay.
technically, no, I don't
No,
think it's a
no,
disorder.
100% a disorder. It's in the psycho blabble books. It's crazy. So, um,
See,
agoraphobic. That's basically you're scared of being in crowded places outside. Basically, it's a
mhm.
disorder. Um, there's a few others. There's
See, to now to me, that's different because agoraphobia is a fear of you doing something that isn't necessarily something you're programmed to do. You're not programmed to go walk around a mall crowded with people that you don't know. But in the case of with being jealous or whatever, that's actually a part of your human nature. That's one of the
okay.
things that make a person a
Well,
person.
being
So when I
agoraphobic would be the
say,
exact same thing as being bulimic, right? Or which one is it?
um, yeah, well, one of
One of
them, one of them's like a psychological thing because they don't have to, but one of them's actually a medical condition where they need like medical treatment, isn't it? Bulimia, and what's the other one? I don't know. I
yeah,
could
yeah,
be
yeah. There you
wrong,
go.
but uh, and yeah, bulimia and anorexia, whatever.
Basically, what I mean is, we know. I mean, there's no doubt about it. No one can ever say there aren't delusions of type situations, because that's basically what we're talking about.
See,
So
that's
when
not. I
it,
think that's not fair to say that these people are
okay,
delusional.
all right,
They got
well,
shit
I
growing
don't
out of their
know about
skin,
you.
dude.
I don't know about you, but I know there are people on this earth that know tweakers.
No, yeah, but I get
Now,
that. That comes from people using fucking drugs and shit, though. That's not
okay,
because
no, okay,
they're
wait,
sitting
wait,
down
wait, wait.
watching TV and then all of a sudden it
So,
feels like they
are
got
you telling
fucking
me?
bugs crawling under their skin.
Okay, okay, are you telling me that the drug makes you do that, or does the drug make it so your brain can't function and tell you and be rational?
Well, I think as far as like I guess tweaking would be the after effect or at the height of the high or whatever. That's a response to the chemical that was introduced to the brain. That's the response because whether it disrupts the
It,
signal
it,
or it creates paths or connections that it didn't have before, or releases more dopamine, whatever the case may be, it's a
mhm.
result of the introduction of the drug. So in order for these
It-
people,
it's
yeah,
it's
but
more of a result of the reaction to it, not the drug. It's the reaction to it.
well, yeah, but it's a result of
Just
the introduction of the drug. If you didn't
yes,
introduce the
yes,
drug,
yeah,
that
yeah.
person wouldn't have that reaction. Okay, well, the same thing with what we call Morgellons or whatever. People wouldn't be fucking growing fibers out of their skin and feeling like they got bugs crawling under their fucking skin and shit.
But
That
hey, no,
like
no, wait. How many times have you walked through a spider web, and for a whole
see,
day
but
you
you
feel like you got spider webs on you,
yeah,
or
but see, but
you
this is the
see
thing.
one and
Listen, but this is the thing where the psychological aspect comes in. When you actually walk through a spider web, your mind can make the connection. Oh yeah, oh, I actually walked through a spider web, so it's bugging me out. This is why I feel like I got bugs on me all day. But when you're just chilling in your
That
living
doesn't
room, you
happen.
haven't been in the woods in 30 fucking years, and it feels like you got 20,000 cockroaches running beneath your skin, and you got
Okay.
fucking red and blue money fibers growing up out of your skin. Like, dude, something
But if you see a spider,
logical. You know what I'm saying?
and by the time you get back to it with your shoe, you don't see that spider anymore. You're telling me you're not on a rampage thinking you always see that spider in the corner of your eye, or see a shadow in
Oh,
the corner of your eye
okay,
for any
but
reason?
if somebody's chasing spiders that they saw, then one of two things: it's either because they did some drugs and they're having some residual effects, or they're actually tripping,
No,
or
wait.
they have some sort of chemical imbalance that causes them to see things or hallucinate. They might have brain damage or something. Yeah, that kind of stuff occurs, but there's a reason that it occurs. In the case of Morgellons, when these people have fibers and feel like they got shit running under their skin, what was the reason for it? They weren't doing anything. They didn't have brain damage. They weren't out in the woods
Can you show
amongst
me?
all the shit and whatever else.
That's and here's the problem here's the big problem with it. You can't say that it has to be drugs. You can't say that you've had to have that experience because we know for a fact that there are people whose brain waves and brave patterns don't work like everybody else's and they're off.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That they're pretty much the only two situations where that occurs is where the people have brain damage or some kind of
No,
chemical
it's
imbalance.
not brain damage.
Well, listen,
Being
listen.
schizophrenic
Right,
or being
hold on, pause. I know exactly what you're talking about. Whether
yeah.
I'm using the proper terminology or not, whatever it is, those types of things. Like I understand when the body's not working the way it's supposed to, those types of things can occur, and people can hallucinate and see shit. Like I get all of that, but it's either
Mhm.
one of two things. It's either that spectrum that makes people hallucinate and see and feel things that ain't real and what are there. That's a medical condition. That's something that's understood and well documented. And then on the flip side, you have people that experience that same type of situation, but it's a result of them doing a hallucinogenic type drug or something along those lines. Other than that, that type of phenomenon just doesn't happen. But then here on the other side of the coin, you got people, Morgellons people, which are everyday, normal, average people that don't do, the drugs per se. Not to say that they haven't.
Supposedly.
Well, not yeah, right, exactly. Not to say that they haven't, but I'm just saying from the cases that I've read up on and the testimonies of just normal, everyday, average people that aren't disclosing the fact whether they're doing it or not. I would say that all of them aren't out in the woods. All of them aren't doing hallucinogenics and whatever the other case may be. But yet a lot of these people have these sensations of shit moving around under their fucking skin and growing fibers out of their skin that's been passed off as lint for fucking years upon years. But it's shit's actually growing out of their skin that's coming from something. It's not their fucking imagination.
It
When you're
it
sitting
could
there pulling fibers out of your fucking body and you know they're not your hairs
okay, but
and,
here's
and
the
granules
other
and
problem.
shit.
So how so the body does produce these fibers. Not just fibers, regular fibers. It's a in your muscle tissues.
Red and blue fibers, like that literally
No,
look
wait,
like
wait,
the
wait.
fibers in money, just a
Hang
lot
on.
smaller.
Exactly. I'm going to get to that part. So the fact of fibers is actually not far fetched, and believe it or not, for them to be a red or a green or black actually is not uncommon. It just depends on the strength of the tissue when these fibers release. Now, I'm not saying that's what it is because I don't believe that's what it is, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to pull it up right now. Um, the Mayo, is it the Mayo Clinic one?
Clinic.
Or I have it right here, so I'm going to pull it up. I'll tell you exactly who did the test.
So
But
basically, you're saying that these fibers can be a natural process of the body, basically.
yes, to
Okay.
an extent. I'm not
Okay.
saying that
No,
they're
that's
all.
perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay, so
Because
this one is from the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
show me something. I want
Or
to
I
see.
gotta.
I want to see it. But that's perfect what you said because to me that makes perfect sense if that's the case, and I'll explain why.
Okay, so these are just. I'm gonna try to figure out where it's from real quick, so you have an idea of where I'm getting the info from. This is from the Clinic of Microbiologist Scientist at Marine General Hospital in Green Bay, California. Okay, so this is a biologist basically. These are fiber tests.
Damn it, my bad.
What?
Nah, because I was trying to turn. I was trying to turn my phone so I can get the bigger screen, and somehow I
Oh,
fucking hung up. I was
oh,
like,
okay. I didn't even know you had backed out. Or wait, that means I gotta hang on, make sure you're okay. You're good. Um, you can see my screen and everything, right?
yeah, it's small, but I can see it. I can see it.
Okay, so these tests were taken in 2004.
Mhm.
Just as a so everyone knows, it's basically says the following are microscopic observations of specimens of unknown fibers taken from 4 individuals suffering from a condition known as Morgellons disease. Okay,
Mhm.
number 1. Every single case is them bringing specimens to the doctor. Now, if I felt a fiber coming out of my arm in the amounts that I've seen some of these and some of these pictures that I got some other pictures. I would leave that fucker there so I can go look, pull that out of my fucking arm and tell me I put it in there. But that's not the case.
Okay.
That's my red flag for the fibers. Now here's the second red flag. When they're doing these tests, they use a machine called so the descriptions are using a light microscope. Okay, never mind. I'm reading the wrong part. That's actually part I want to read though. Basically, they use this UV light
Mhm.
that either glows under organic, like a bio, like exactly what you're saying, something that's alive.
Mhm.
If you know if it, or here it is, using an ultraviolet light source with a let me say all that
I
crap.
can't even see it. Just spell it real
Wait,
quick.
no, it doesn't even say the name of what it
Uh,
actually is yet. I was just trying to. I saw the ultraviolet part and started reading. Um, but so they're bringing in these samples of stuff. That's one problem I have. The second problem I have, and I watched probably 5, 6 uh, videos, and what I guess you call the Morgellon community, um,
mhm.
their answer to it is go out and buy a handheld microscope, which I mean props, go do that. I mean anybody, even if you don't have it, go get one. You can learn a lot. You can see what you don't see, and there's a lot more to this world that you have no clue is there.
Mhm.
The problem is it takes years to become a biologist and know what you're looking at when you're looking under a scope.
Mhm.
Now, the problem I have is there are people on YouTube that I respect that have these things and will tell me exactly what they're looking at. My problem is you have no clue what you're looking at. Keep showing me how you know that's what it is, and it never happens. This kind of goes along the same path of, hey, I need at least one fact to back it. What I'm finding doesn't back it at all. Um, like I said before, I can't say it's completely not real. I can't. I just can't. First of all, I'm not a biologist. I'm not a doctor. I don't have it. I've never met anybody with it, so I don't have any accounts to be able to really have a fact, no ifs, ands, or buts opinion about it. But
True.
these are the things I'm seeing from a not conspiracy theorist idea. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing with
So
yeah, no, I get you though. I definitely get you for sure. The only
like,
thing with that kind of you know, that's like knowing somebody that had, you know, cancer or something like that. They go into the hospital, they get treated, you know, they come out and whatever the case may be, and they're okay. Well, you can't necessarily explain or even prove, for that matter, that what they say they had as far as cancer was legit and what their treatment was actually, whether it was successful. I mean, honestly, whether it was or
Well,
not, you can't prove that,
well,
but you see
here's
the
the thing.
results.
Here's the thing.
You know, but
Here's the thing.
I
If
definitely
anybody
get you
ever,
with the
if anybody
flowers.
had cancer and it went to remission, and someone walked up to them and be like, "You're full of shit." I don't. The person who had it should just go and smack the shit out of them or ignore them. That's first. That's first off, no matter what. But the reality of it is that same person can go, "Fuck you. Here's medical, my medical sheet. Here's everything. Here's the chemos I went through. Here's the treatments I did." That's reality. I mean, only an asshole wants to see that stuff, but it is there.
So then something like the case of Dr. Sebi, you know, they took this man to court in 1978 or something because he was claiming he can cure everything from like AIDS to lupus to like blindness. And he went to court, paperwork the whole nine. They cut the brother loose because they couldn't prosecute him because he was legit. But yet,
No, here's the thing.
yeah. What do you
Wait,
mean
wait.
no?
So did they cut him loose because he can heal all these people, or did they cut him loose because they can't prove what he's doing is harmful to people?
Well, yeah, they cut him loose because they can't prove that he's hurting them in any way. Absolutely, but the thing about that is one of the stipulations of his case was that he had to appear with like one or two patients that he apparently cured, and he had to produce the paperwork and the treatments he used in order to prove that he did such a thing. So even though it may not necessarily be viewed in the public eye or in the legal system as a case that he was proving to prove that he could cure things, he was proving he could clear his name because he could cure those things. You know what I'm saying? So
I would. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I shouldn't have cut you off. Go ahead. I'm
nah,
sorry.
you were low anyway. Uh, you know, so it's like as far as his case is concerned, he did absolutely that. He proved that he could cure these people, and that's why they couldn't touch him. It's just that the way that the law is set up that gave them the ability to attempt prosecution in the first place states that he doesn't have a medical license, therefore he's hurting people, and we need to go after him for that. But in essence, he absolutely proved that he cured people.
But see, that's the thing. He didn't prove he killed people. I think you're
Cured.
confused. No, no.
Yeah, he did.
But no. But here's the problem with that. The courts weren't seeing if he was. The reason the courts wanted him to bring paperwork in is to know that he's not making them drink turpentine. You see what I'm saying? Like they need to know that he's not risking their lives. Because
No,
whether
no,
it
that's not
that
true. That's not true.
it is true.
Listen,
Because
the reason they went after the man is for practicing medicine without a license. That's
okay,
why they went after him. So he's
okay,
saying, but he's saying that okay, but basically just because I wasn't schooled, you know, in a formal school or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't know what I'm doing and I have to have a license to practice or whatever the case may be. And basically their response was, well, in order for you to basically you know, take that ball and run with it, you need to come prove yourself. You need to bring, and matter of
oh,
fact, the stipulation was he had to bring one person to court with him in order to prove himself, and he wound up bringing like 70 people to court with him
here's,
along with the paperwork to prove himself. So he absolutely proved that he could cure
here,
certain things.
here's
Period.
how I know that's not possible for the that way. Because right now he's allowed to practice medicine with no license.
Yeah, and if he was alive, but that would be in Honduras where
All
he's
right.
from. He can't do it in the United States. And this
Okay,
is what
well,
this is what they
that's
were.
the they when he went to court here in America, right? Or was it in Honduras?
No, he went to court in New York, New York City.
Okay, so what happens is say 10 people around me have a flu, and I'm
Hmm.
just using this because it'll make sense for me.
Right, right, right,
Um,
right.
and I know a way to get all those people not sick anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say someone, blah blah blah, whoever does that would do it, finds out about it and has a problem with it because they're worried. What if that dumbass is making them drink a half gallon of gasoline to cure this stuff, which is actually harmful to them? Now, the
Mm-hmm.
court needs to know that I'm not doing anything dangerous
And
because
that's where you're dead. That's where you're dead wrong. The court doesn't give two fucks about whether you're doing something dangerous. They may use that as a guise, but in the case of Dr. Sebi, it was about the information that he was putting out, and they were trying to suppress it. They couldn't suppress
but
it
I know
because he proved
there's,
himself.
that sounds impossible for a court to let him go under the guidelines of, okay, well, you don't have a medical license, but you cured those people. I just
Listen, no, you gotta remember, he's not even from this country. He just happened to put an advertisement out that ran in the newspaper that ran in this country, so that puts him on the hook for advertising and soliciting in the United States.
oh, okay, so it
They were
wasn't for a
they
certain case or nothing. It was just the fact of.
That's literally all he did. He didn't touch anybody in the United States. He put out an ad in a newspaper that he could cure AIDS and lupus and blindness and diabetes and all this other shit. And that's how he ended up in court. He never treated nobody in the United States other than
Okay,
the
okay.
people that went from the United States to Dr. Sebi, like Lisa Left Eye Lopez. She's one of his people, which her death is a little mysterious, but he never practiced medicine whatsoever in the United States. He simply put out an advertisement, and that was enough for the United States government to go after him for practicing medicine without a license. And once they realized that they couldn't touch him because he had all the paperwork and the people to prove that he was legitimate in what he did, they couldn't touch him. But it wasn't about that. It was about them trying to suppress the information, and they couldn't do that because he went to court and basically hit a home run, so he was untouchable. They couldn't do nothing to him legally because he never physically practiced medicine, and
Okay, I
yeah,
understand 100% more. Okay, I get it now. I get it what it is now.
yeah. But
That's like I'm thinking like Kevorkian. Remember him?
well, Kevorkian was in the States, and it's actually illegal to assist people in suicide,
Yeah,
regardless.
but who's to say that it's not helping them? You know what I mean? It was under those kind of guidelines. Hang on one second.
The court don't care if you're fucking somebody up or not. Now, if you kill them, that's different. Yeah, go ahead,
hang on, Danny. I just gotta make sure Danny knows to hang on real quick, so I can show him. What's up, Danny?
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I have it, so you can't do anything. You can't talk or anything. Or
yeah,
no,
I was wondering what was up with that.
Presented. Yeah, I saw you typing in the chat, but when me and Dre are going back and forth, like I didn't want to stop and pause to read it. So.
That's why I was like, jumped in the shower really fast, as fast as I can. Cause I'm not gonna get in this. This is some good shit right here.
Yeah, but what's the saying?
Okay, no problem. Oh, sorry, fellas.
See, the problem I'm still having with it is now. I mean, at some point, you have to still realize that delusion of parasites is an actual symptom. It is something that actually does happen. People do get
some reaction from it. Yeah,
it's the illusion of having it. It's a disorder.
Did you say a parasite is a symptom?
Did you say a disorder?
That is yes, it is actually. It's called D.O.P. Delusions of parasites, and it's been around for since 1600.
That's not fair, though. A parasite is an organism. A parasite is not a delusion.
It's a single cell, isn't it? A single cell?
No. Whoa, that's not true.
No, it can be more than a single cell organism. Absolutely, it can be more than a single cell.
I've always heard it being.
Why do you
say such a nasty thing like that?
We talking about?
See, that doesn't make sense because what you're saying is that there aren't delusional people. Now, because it says parasite in it, doesn't mean it's not real.
Well, I mean, saying parasite doesn't mean it's not.
Now listen, but they kind of coined this terminology of delusion of parasite to latch it on to Morgellons. It didn't just come
No,
out of
no, it's
nowhere.
been around way before that, and
Yeah, but
it's.
how often was that term used in contemporary existence until Morgellons became a thing?
Actually, hang on, I'll look it up right now.
Two guys.
And like I said before, I mean, regardless of whether any of us are right or wrong about the condition itself, I think it's unfair for people to label these people with basically delusions because somebody can't necessarily prove what's like. For instance, I'll give you a prime example. Have you ever heard of fibromyalgia?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
fibromyalgia, they don't know what it is. They don't know what causes it. The vast majority of the people that claim they have fibromyalgia, they go to the doctor, and the doctor looks at them like they have 10 heads and sends them on their way. Oh, you're having delusions, whatever else. But yet, 10 years later, after so many people complained about it and basically display the same symptoms or whatever you want to call it, they actually recognize it now. Not too long ago, it was called something that was basically delusional. You're imagining it. It's really not there. They're imagining pain. So it's kind of unfortunate, I think, and unfair that they label these people that experience this. Um, and I definitely think that the environmental manipulation, whether it's something that they weaponize or whether it's just a byproduct of the BS that they do, I think that this stuff stems from what they do. And like earlier, you were hinting around to the fact that the fibers might be a natural production of the body, and if it's a biological weapon that's derived from an existing, basically a prokaryote or a eukaryote, then of course it's gonna be something that can be in symbiosis with the body. That would make even more sense to me because something's out of whack and it allows those things to grow, whether it's through mutation or
And like, and
something
what you're
being out of
going with
control.
that, what you're going with that is also an inactive. It can be inactive in your body for so long. Like there's been people that's had certain specific
Yeah, where it's
diseases or things
dormant.
like that that were inactive, dormant in their body, and then another, even a natural chemical that hasn't even been altered somehow activates it. And now that comes up with all
100%.
this
Yeah,
Okay,
disorder.
but
you know
here's
what?
the
It's
thing.
funny.
You're saying that them people calling them a delusion of parasites is them just trying to skirt away from it.
No, I'm not saying
No,
But
it's
no, no,
trying
no,
to
no, no,
skirt
no,
away
no.
from. I just think it's
That could be a
unfair.
mental thing.
I just think
no,
it's
but
unfair
that's
that
what
they
I'm
label
saying.
them like that. That's a
Just
shame.
because
Well, yeah, that's not. I'm not
it
saying
can
that
be a
that's not a
mental.
real thing. I think what
Okay,
we were
okay.
saying is
Listen,
that
it can be a mental thing, but you don't have to be like mental, like mentally ill, like
yeah. You don't have to be
it's
mentally ill
bad. It
for
doesn't need
something
to
like
be
that.
like that.
It could just be inhibition of chemicals in the brain. A certain receptors that are
Exactly.
being firing that are not supposed to be. That like I was saying about the dormant thing in their
Okay.
body, and something else causing it to start inhibiting these certain
Right.
signals in the brain to start
Okay.
It's like a
functioning.
sleeper. It's like a sleeper agent. You get the body to either accept it or just whether it assimilates it or just accept it, and it just stays in the body, does
Wait,
whatever
wait,
it
wait.
does, whether it's harmful or not. And then the moment that you introduce, whether it's a frequency or another compound or
Or an
chemical or
acidic
another
or
gene
a
for
type of
that
heat.
matter,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
and then
right now,
that's the activation.
but
Hmm.
Dre, right now, the way it sounds like you're saying it is that it's there, and people. I'm talking right now. People with the delusions of this. Making it seem like they have it, pops in and out whenever it pleases, and that's the delusion
No,
that they're
no,
having.
No.
no,
He's saying that it's
no. Once it,
a certain
right,
thing can cause the inhibit functions in the brain. And
right.
we're
Okay,
just
Once
using
but
that
it as an
process
example.
happens, it constantly happens. It's not like it happened on
Hmm.
Tuesday, but now not on Thursday for 10 years. No, it happens once that process takes place, and that I guess you could call it like the transformation or whatever you want to call it. Once
The
it's
catalyst
activated,
that
it's
changes it.
activated.
Yeah.
Once it's in your body and then it's activated, it's just like any other immune disorder. Your immune system's not gonna, you might have better days or whatever the case may be, but when that immune system is compromised, it's something that you deal with on a daily basis. It's just different levels of how the suppression occurs, but just because Nah, yeah. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but
I'm trying to, but it's I can't tell if you're talking about just the brain chemicals or you're saying Morgellon.
Well,
what I'm saying is the condition Morgellons itself is caused from whatever it is, whether it's
Yeah, but
whether you want to.
see, that's the problem though, because you're taking the term delusions of parasites or being mental illness, you're taking that away,
No,
and you're
I'm not taking it
so,
away. I'm just saying
okay.
I'm
Then
just
like
saying that whether it's a person or a group of people that label Morgellons victims or whatever you want to call them with this delusions of parasite label, I think it's unfortunate, because when you label anybody with being delusional, it's a shame. And if these people are actually experiencing physical things where they're either hallucinating and or fibers are coming up out of their skin, this is not a delusion. This is something that's happening to these people in
really
their
happen.
life.
here's
Now,
the problem with that. Now here's
if
the
it
problem.
turns out that
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that's something that's unfortunate. But if it turns out that these people are somehow faking the funk and it's not going down like that, then yeah, they are delusional if that's the case. But
Yeah.
just for the simple fact that this is one of these diseases that's linked to something like Lyme's disease, which has no cure, and all this other stuff, why if people are so delusional, how can you link their delusion to something that's so real?
Okay, because the symptom that when someone gets Lyme disease and someone comes and says I have Morgellon, and they look for the bite or the where it starts at. That's not the similarities between it. The issue is that the feeling that you get that it's there, the
No,
scratching, the irritation.
the
Because I'm telling you right now,
listen, the similarities come in the form of the parasite that infects you. This is where the similarities
no,
come in.
no, 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 no.
Everything has a
Because if that was
flu-like
the case,
symptom.
no, if that was the case, when someone says I have Morgellons and they went in, they would go, "Here's your parasite. We're get that." Now I see what you're saying, because Lyme disease you can't get rid of, but they can find it and they can suppress it. And it would be the same thing in Morgellons, and it's not.
But
Even if it's found and suppressed, it's something you can't get rid of. It's like
Like,
luggage. The reason
no,
why
yeah,
you can't
100%.
get rid of it is because it operates on a function that's on a eukaryotic level. It's at the most basic building block level of an organism. This is why they don't know how to cure it, is because when you start dealing with biological things on that scale, they don't know nothing about it. This is why they can't put a date on a prokaryote or a eukaryote.
Okay.
the best
Now,
example is just like when the way sugar is being is being taken and transferred through the body
It
and
gets
turning it
metabolized.
exactly the way if it gets metabolized incorrectly, you could actually start to have mental uh like
okay.
issues, not permanent,
No,
but like basically like kind of like seizure activity, but not seizure activity where you feel
okay.
like you're just not
Here's what
right.
I need to do. I need to. I need to. I need to. I need to. I need you guys to see the path I went through this, to see it, because remember that I was saying when I started doing this, the the idea of it for me was completely different than yours because I had never seen it before, right?
Right.
So I'm coming from a place where I'm not reaching to find the reason why it's still there. But here's my problem. Just hear me out on this part, okay?
All right.
Now, for one, there's at least three scientists with PhDs that I'm going to talk to you guys about, because these guys are the ones that actually made me realize that this is bullshit. Okay. Now, just base it on from where I'm coming from. Danny, can you guys see this one right here?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm
Okay, what
driving
is that?
now, so hold on. Let me. What you got on the screen there? There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Tony's
The
got the
one with
mouse
the
on
red,
the little
the
right
red
background, the
background.
little blue.
What organism is that?
That looks like parasite.
What, can you name it?
Well,
They could be
you
parasites.
can't
That
just
might
name
be.
it without actually running
Okay.
tests on it,
It might be
acidic
the
levels.
Thank you.
guys.
Okay, stop. What you just said. Okay, what you just said is exactly why I call bullshit on it. Because every single person who will show you pictures or show you their scope that they got
I
from it,
see where you're
they're
getting
doing
at.
it themselves, and they don't have any. And everyone I've asked, because there's videos all over YouTube, and I asked every single one of them over the past 3 days, what is your level of education behind knowing what a parasite and being able to distinguish what they are? No one has been able to even give me the answer.
I see where you're
So,
getting at.
so what's
Basically, the
happening
acidic.
is these people are
If you could,
going and getting these handheld microscopes, and they're calling Morgellon. I saw one, and I know for a fact it was fucking lice.
well,
Well, that's just kind of like, I mean, if
No,
people
okay,
are
but that's
actually
what's
stupid
happening.
enough. No, yeah, I
Now,
mean, like
now, so
that's
like
with anything though.
self-diagnosis
see,
bullshit.
put it this
Yeah.
way,
That's
Dre. The
with
reason I
anything
get
though. You're gonna have
100%.
people. You're gonna have people that basically abuse whatever's out there for whatever reasons and not be forthcoming with what they're putting out there. Some people are looking for fame. Some people are looking for sympathy. Some people are just looking to be jerk offs and put out misinformation, whatever the case may be. But something that's so far off base with like somebody showing a picture of lice and saying that, oh, this is Morgellons. You would have to be a real Sammy sausage head to believe something like that. And people
Are
put
you
stuff
sure?
out like, I
I
don't
can
listen.
show you a
I'm going to
video
tell
right
you.
now.
I'm going to tell you like
Yeah,
this:
but if they
if
self-diagnose, right?
anybody out there that claims to be suffering with something like Morgellons, and then they're faced with a picture that shows a head lice or something lice related, and they can't tell the difference and understand that somebody's messing with them, they need to be tossed aside because for you
Or
to be
maybe they, or maybe they
inflicted
have
with
a
something.
mental illness. Maybe they have D.O.P. It's not.
Right. Okay.
It
So
is
now
a real
now
symptom.
here's the
Wait a
thing
minute,
though.
I'm
Now
confused.
if these people are rightfully so being labeled with this DOP, why would they take it upon themselves? I don't know why I went this way, but why would they take it upon themselves to oh man, I just lost my train of thought.
To
What was that?
self-diagnose it in the first place, you said
Because
it's a mental. You said if it is a mental disorder, anyways, in the first place, they wouldn't be able to specify without taking like some serious time and actually understanding and trying
no,
several different methods to figure out what kind of parasite, or if it is a parasite, or if it is just some sort of
See,
chemical
and
reaction
this
that's just being
right.
this is
inhibiting
And
the
if they
brain
now
function.
so you're telling me if that's the case, you're telling me regardless of if a scientist or a doctor knows how to fix them, you don't think they would be able to identify it?
No, they might be able to identify. Yeah, I'm not saying they
Okay.
can't. I'm saying the doctor. I mean, I'm saying the person themselves are not going to be able to identify it. They can zoom in with the best I want to say over the counter. This is the way I look at it. Over the counter microscope they get. They're still not going to be able to run tests on specific acidic levels, as well as solvents like dichloromethane and things like that, compared to alcohols or alkaline acidic levels, or even amino acids on the reactions to even find out what it is. Because every little, if it, you know what I'm saying, if it is really a parasite that's causing this mental disorder, it's going to certain like I said, acidic levels are going to affect it a certain way depending on what type it is. But they're not going to be able to find that out themselves.
Okay.
And not
So
only
then
that,
you
but the major problem with that is they don't know anything about the disease in the first place. They don't know anything about it. So
They have
for
no
somebody,
origins of it.
yeah, well they do. They just don't want to admit it because when people start to understand what a prokaryote and a eukaryote are, it almost is like gigs up. We understand what
yeah,
you're doing and you're busted.
Uh-huh.
That's
okay,
why
check
they
this
won't
out.
tell you what it's
Let me
connected
explain to you.
to.
Let me explain to you exactly how it happens, because I can tell you from personal experience. Dre, does your wife um, watch a movie and some crazy sickness comes up, and an hour later she's like, "I think I may have that."
Yeah, but that
No,
is,
it's not funny.
No, you know what? It's not funny, but you know what? I guarantee you, 70 to 80% of the population actually experience that. And what
My
that
ex, my ex used to be like that. Not even joking.
see now that's a
I would
disorder.
do, and so is the same thing happening with these people that think they have Morgellon.
okay, though. That's the thing,
Now,
though. Now, if they're taking that and they're looking at it
so Danny,
themselves with a microscope, and they see something, and then the actual chemists don't see anything, then they have a mental disorder.
okay, so if the CDC, none of the doctors are going to see these things, but they see all these things that are all over this internet. You're telling me, okay, I guarantee you, doctors would lose their license everywhere. Now, I could see you saying the CDC.
Sure.
I can see you saying a federal government, but you're not going to tell me that there's a doctor sitting in buttfuck Egypt who has to worry about if that's contagious or not when it comes in.
I mean,
Now, this is what I'm saying. Ray, you're coming from a side of this is what they can do, and it makes sense. I believe I get what you're saying. Danny said is coming from the same spot where it's they can't self-diagnose themselves, but they are.
if
Well,
they really
I
are,
agree
though,
with that.
then whoever is doing the actual testing on it, like professor-wise, scientists, and they're actually getting somewhat same results, and it's actually showing that it is a real thing, then it's not just a mental disorder. I'm saying it's something
Right.
Okay.
actually causing this inhibited function in the brain. Then it is some sort of parasite.
I'm gonna Google
But
something.
but like you saying when you're watching, like your girl was watching TV and she's, oh, I got that. That's not the same.
Yeah, but
That is
yeah,
No, it 100% is the same.
yeah,
how?
but you can pinpoint the external stimuli though with the television and the response 2 hours later. What's the stimuli with Morgellons? What's the
No,
stimuli?
we can,
Well,
but the person doing it can't. The same way
what do
someone
you mean?
who's schizophrenic.
Well, that's different because they can't.
It's not.
Most of
You're
them can't. They don't have that sophistication of the mind.
okay. So when someone says someone has a delusion of parasites, what makes you think that they aren't convinced 100% that they have it?
Yeah, but if they are 100% convinced, that is something chemically wrong in the brain, though.
Congratulations.
There should
Now
be
I
something.
understand why I feel the way I do.
Same way we
Because
always
it
did.
is
The
a
only
real
thing
thing.
I did was I went super long around the block in order to get back to this room because I thought I was going to pick up my mid run because I'm talking and
But
Oh, he's talking to someone else.
yeah.
Okay, so check this out. I just pulled up a site,
Mhm.
and it's loading right now. I'll go ahead and share it so you can see what site I'm on. So it says right here, it says there are 4 classifications of parasites. 30% live in our digestive system, while the other 70% live on our bodies, including the blood and the organs, including the brain. There are over 1,000 types of parasites, and there are 4 classes that can live in the human body. Now, you know what that means? That means there's 1,000 types that we know of.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we don't even know how all of them work or how to identify all of them. How it works. One may be one of them, but it sure as hell is not a government-made thing.
But at the same time, you can't completely disregard it though, because we don't know. Like when it comes to the whole chemistry set, it's like this earth we live on is literally the chemistry set though. It's it really is, because if you're making something and you're creating a change with the catalyst, you have to have a specific amount of atmospheric pressure in your Erlenmeyer flask, as well as a certain amount of heat and acidic level to create that change with this other chemical. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
everything has a threshold where it either changes or transforms in some way, and I completely agree with that. What Danny's saying, I've been saying that for years. That that this is basically a giant chemistry set that has electrical properties, and once you tweak one little thing, you know, it's got like a domino effect on some
That's what I
level.
was saying in the chat earlier about, you know, all they can do is put this little piece of the whole sequence that needs to be completed, and they put it on the earth on the surface, right, and let it, you know, and do its thing down here for a few months or blah blah blah, and then they can put the rest of it, the catalyst, in the sky, let the catalyst drop, and when it breaches and gets the oxidation levels and everything else just right, then it changes into something completely different.
Well, Dan, I'm not sure if you heard.
That's what it is? Because
no,
this
I'm not
is
sure if you heard at the very beginning when I started, but I was saying that. I was saying,
oh, okay.
I can't give the 100%. It's nothing. I can't. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a biologist. I'm none of those things. And I 100% know that. I get that 100%. I come from the place of, or better yet, I came from a place of listening to somebody discredit a bunch of stuff from what I heard to make Morgellons this government ops where they were trying to kill everybody.
Yeah, a lot of channels are like that. They try to. I've had lots of channels talking me about, like my son, for example, with a congenital heart disease, talking about. I'm not gonna say what it was that you were talking about, but basically, if you gave him this, it would fix his heart. I'm like, no, because the heart is the first thing that is made. There's an actual, what is it? There's a nuclei that actually happens when the heart forms. There's certain little ion, not an ionic bond, but I can't think of what it's called. But when that first function happens, it creates each chamber of the heart. You can't go back and fix that through.
You talking about the cell division when it starts
You know what I'm saying? You can't go back and fix that unless you actually have to go in there internally or do transplants and stuff. There's no way to just drink this or eat that natural blah 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 and it's gonna fix your heart. No, because if you got one pumping chamber and a VSD, which is a hole between two other ones, and then one that doesn't even work at all, all you have is one chamber pumping. You can't fix that. You can't close a hole up.
See, this stuff gets deep because it's even, man. Look, I was into some stuff a while ago, and before I got into the flat Earth, I kind of pumped the brakes on it because I started learning other stuff. But it's deep. Like, man, it goes down to the level of, put it this way. I'm just gonna try to summarize this real quick. Now you got the mercury in the vaccines. Mm-hmm. Now, many people don't know this, but there's some kind of strange relationship between mercury and algae that it's weird, and I can't even get into it because it's been so long, but the science behind it is crazy. Well, anyway, basically, and it's kind of all the lines of what Danny's saying, how things are slowly introduced, and when certain levels or whatever, you know, they reach a certain point, they can be activated either remotely or just by level certain areas.
You went robotic.
But the mercury in the vaccine, somehow it's got a link to this algae that's been whether it's in the diet and all.
Are they trying to block him from saying this? Because every time you're about to say that, right after the damn mercury, boom, robotics come back.
Hang on one second. Hang on one second. I'm gonna try something. You unmute. I'm gonna mute you. Then unmute yourself.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a signal.
Yeah, it's probably just my signal because I'm on the move.
Okay.
Yeah, LTE shit. So very long.
Yeah, but basically,
Adam. By the way, in the chat, Adam Geringer. How do I get a link? I got an email, Sean.
Okay. Where is it? Yeah, my bad, guys. I have not.
Yeah, I was getting into this conversation so hard, and I just literally clicked on the chat just now. I was like, oh my god, I got to put it back up there so I can see.
I wish I wasn't driving. I wish I was like home chilling so I could really get into this because this is right up my alley. I love it.
I know, me too. I heard it and I was like, oh, I was rushing home.
Okay. Let me see if I can get you in here, Adam. Give me 1 second. And I do apologize for watching the chat. Hang on. I don't.
Oh, you know, Adam just gave me just reminded me about something. Like when it comes to marijuana, you know, you can take a marijuana plant, right? If it's when it's heated up to I think it's 527 degrees, it actually activates it and it goes from being THCA to THC, which contains the hallucinogenic part to it. So basically, it could, you know, even even a heat, because it only changes a slight part of it. It only changes the tetrahydrous to being I can't remember what THCA. It's oh my gosh, it's triethylene, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Triethylene, something acetate.
Acetate cannabinoid. Right. And then when you go when it's being heated, then it activates it from being, and then it loses those two other carbons that are there and goes to from being that to being the heck, we're losing the damn name of the marijuana
THCB or whatever it is.
Well, it's just THC. They don't even label the B anymore, but it is the B, like you're saying. It goes from THCA to THCB, but they don't even put that anymore. They just call it THC.
Yeah, and this is why the vaping, like, you know, in the steamers or wherever you call them, you put them in there and it vaporizes it. That's why they became popular, because people started becoming hip to that. Because when you burn it, it's not as good.
Right.
When you burn it, you're kind of destroying it, actually.
Yeah, you're actually killing a lot of the healing.
Probably, yeah, the cannabinoids, you're ruining.
Yeah, because we have cannabinoids in our brain, several of them, on our spinal cord, in our organ, our heart, our liver, our pancreas, everywhere.
You're hardwired with receptors for it.
And then some of them are basically, when you burn it, you're actually removing those specific cannabinoids for actually being triggered, so they're never being used. And depending on what kind of cancer or tumor or blah 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 that you may have, that's what it might be lacking. You know, that's what you might be needing to actually help, you know, completely kill or stop the cancer cells from mutating.
See, that they can control all that stuff if they really wanted to. Not that it should exist in the first place, because a lot of this stuff comes to be because of the chemicals and stuff that they introduce. But on a biomechanical level, they could stop all that stuff.
No, I don't think they can. They don't know shit about the body. They don't know anything about the human body. How do you...
I disagree.
Okay, but what do you base your disagreement on? What tells you differently?
I base that on all the information that's accessible to me, just as it is everybody else. The same information that everybody else in this world uses to come to their conclusions.
Okay, and do you think any of us even have an idea of what, if that's even a part of the body, if that has anything to do with knowing what's going on? Because just like Lyme disease, we don't know shit about Lyme disease. We just know we can get it. We don't know why it stays there. But what you're saying,
I mean, I can
that are from the government and everything of the world. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if they are just playing games with shit. You know,
right?
They probably can't cure it all. They probably the ones making all these issues.
Let me tell you something right now, and this is something. And whatever, I've never done no experiment with it, but I know that you got to take a lot of different things into context. One of the things, and I'm going to use this as an example, I'm sure you've heard of the expression, an apple a day keeps a doctor away.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is where that expression comes from, because these people know that particularly the apple seed, just like the cherry pit, is packed chock full of vitamin B17. Which just happens to be banned, by the way, because they know it cures cancer. Now, if you eat the apple and you consume the whole thing, including the core, seeds and all, this is where that expression comes from. Now, what happens with that apple seed is, in your gut, it basically turns into cyanide. And then that small amount of cyanide attacks pathogens in your body.
Yep.
This is where this saying comes from. And people just think that it's some cool saying that some dude came up with, you know, whatever. All this stuff, it's around for a reason. And when you start to understand the interconnectedness of all this stuff that's going on, whether it's on that dark, mysterious, occultic type level or on a religious level, it's all connected. It's all the same stuff. The information is valid The information is real. You just have to know what to accept and what not to accept. You need to know how to sift through it and how to stitch it all together and make it work. And the sciences allow that. Once you understand those sciences, you begin to find your way on that path of unraveling what we call the truth, which nobody will ever know ultimately.
Yeah.
But you have the means to be on the right path and find it and figure it out as you go. That's the purpose of life. You know, it's
And
just
a
it
lot of,
just
like
kind
you
of
were saying
sucks that
about the
these
vitamins, the thing about the vitamins too, because even like the vitamins you can go pick up at the store right now,
they're all garbage.
yeah, they have a lot of impurities. These
Yeah, they're not
impurities
even
can
real. They're
cause
synthetic
other
vitamins.
issues. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and these impurities that are involved with them can also cause random infusions to gene cells, to this, or cause different rates
The
of the
mutations.
pancreas or the liver to start running at different rates, or even brain functions to start running at different rates.
Absolutely.
Like even causing
Okay,
people
but
to
here's the
think
problem I have.
certain things
What
are.
you're saying is exactly right. But what you're saying, Dre, is wrong.
What's wrong
You
about what I said?
assume it's like you're almost saying they know how the body works, period.
Absolutely.
They probably do.
And this
That's
is one of
crap.
this
I
is
mean,
one
think
of the
about it. If you
reasons.
think about it,
Listen,
if you think
hold
about the
on.
pharmaceutical industries, they know how to cure cancer, right? All these
Absolutely.
doctors know how to do it. But what would they rather do? They rather
They
give
ra-
people chemotherapies and shit like that. Than they know that don't fucking do shit. They cause
This is
more harm
exactly
because
why.
the money that is involved. That's what they care about. Is the
This is
money.
Okay,
exactly
so
why. Yeah, this is exactly why they can keep bombarding you with all these different chemicals and this, that, and the other, because they understand the limits of the human body. They don't want to kill you. They just want to keep you sick. So you got to
Yeah.
buy into the
So you
medical
stay
industry. That's what
codependent
it's
to the
about.
pharmaceutical industry.
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
so then why do doctors die?
Because
Because they don't
doctors
get
live in the
no.
same
Yeah, they living
listen,
in that.
doctors live in the same system as we do. Unless those doctors are into the stuff that we're into, they don't know no better. They think they're doing a good thing by telling you to cut your
Mm-hmm.
See,
cholesterol, and they don't tell
see
you the
that
difference between the good cholesterol and the bad
And bad
cholesterol.
cholesterol, exactly, or certain fats. You know,
And see,
there's even
listen, no,
certain fats
and
that your
here's a
body do need, and they just tell
here's
you, "Oh,
another
take
bad
this
one.
fat burner, blah blah blah," and it's gonna burn all the fats. It's gonna burn specific
th-
fatty acids
see
that you do need.
that's the problem. I can't go. This is how it is. It's all this way. The same way you can't say I don't know if Morgellons is this or that or why this is happening or why they can't cure this. It's you saying that yeah they know the human body is just you saying they know the human body and I
I
can't.
know from experience, just on this level. I know an experience from this level when it came to my son, because this is the only reason why. I mean, we're even so deep in this whole medical
Mm-hmm.
industry and learning all this shit. Is that when it came to his heart surgery, there's some surgeries that they have to remove the thymus gland, which produces the antibodies. So when you're sick, right? But the doctors they didn't even try to figure out if his heart needed it or didn't, or it couldn't have it after the whole procedure, after getting the gland and the fontan, if it would be able to still
Disregarded it.
uh, or even inhibit the correct antibody amount of antibodies when they got sick. So what they did was they just removed it completely. What
I
caused him
respect
to get sick so easy all the time? Like he's literally got a cold. Ada had a cough. He's got a cold right now, and had to give him his rescue med, his breathing treatment, because a simple cold has put him down like this. He's been in the
okay
hospital several times over some little colds. To us ain't shit. We don't even need to take medicine for it.
okay and in saying that I'm sorry I can't run on the fact that you think that they
I'm just
know
looking at the
everything
parts.
about our body.
Listen, I didn't say they know everything.
No,
Not
you
They
did.
everything,
know
but they know a
they
lot.
they know. I didn't say they know everything about the human body. They know a lot. They know enough about the human body to control us. Literally, they're doing
Oh
it
no no
now.
no yo yeah they think yeah that kind of stuff. Okay,
Okay, so listen, I'm gonna tell you like
okay, better,
this.
that's better then.
This is
Yeah,
what
'cause
I think, or this is what I know. They know virtually every physical function that the human body is capable of and that performs on a natural level. They know that already. The part that they don't understand the what you would call the spiritual or the esoteric portions where it starts to deal with the mind and the spirit and the energy that makes up your consciousness. This is what they don't quite understand. They're trying to figure that portion out because they want to hijack that. They already hijacked the physical vessel. They already got control of the physical vessel. Now they're going after the psyche and the spiritual of you.
It's like the saying where you think something enough.
When you say spiritual and you say and you talk in those realms of it.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, though, because it's now they're trying to take over the thing that was instilled in you that gives you what I call that everlasting that everlasting life, that existence. Even though the body may pass on or whatever the case may be, your consciousness and the energy that makes you what you are and who you are, that lives forever. That ain't going nowhere. People don't believe in reincarnation, but it's not something that you can escape. That was the gift of the Creator, reincarnation and the ability to experience His creation, on that level. That's what the everlasting life is. And when you activate that Christ consciousness, that's when you come into that. Before that, you don't come into it. You don't inherit that kingdom. It's not about a place in the sky that people go to. This is what it's all about. These people understand that. They've hijacked the physical body through knowledge of it and manipulation of it, and now they're going after the soul. Period.
Ray, you know me, man. What part of the soul and the spirit is provable?
What part of it is provable? I mean, that's something that
because you would correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but
I can tell you this is the one proof that I know that you can't dispute. Is there an electrical signal in the body?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's called energy, correct?
Absolutely.
Energy can't be created and it cannot be destroyed. So therefore, it means
yes, it can.
Energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Create some energy right now. Show me one process that creates some energy, and I'll tell you that you were full of shit.
Rubbing my arm against the chair.
Okay.
That's not the same kind of energy.
What are you doing? Are you creating energy? Are you creating energy? And I'm gonna tell you if you say yeah, I'm gonna tell you how you're not.
Sustained and continuing. Yeah, it's not.
Come on, now choose your words wisely, bro.
Even trying to use it on a whole electrical ways.
And if that's the case, then my body.
No, your body's not energy.
Your body's gonna die though.
Your body actually has energy within it. Your body is made up of.
Then what defines energy?
Energized particles,
electrolytes, and things like that. Yeah.
What defines energy to you then? Because I can tell you for a fact that it has to end if that is the case. Where does
videos of like it can be like energy or even who knows, like ghostly type stuff. I got a video I can put it on right now. 2 times it happens in the video. We was chilling, smoking in the bathroom, and I'm not playing. My brother-in-law seen this shit twice happen at 2 different times. He's seen something go past the camera. You can see it in the camera.
That's your brain. Stuff. That's a shadow. That's something.
No, dude,
that's
the same. Nothing.
He said it's on videotape.
So what you're saying is
even
like
opening doors and stuff.
Real?
There was time. Listen, there was that's folklore bullshit.
That's folklore bullshit.
No, we're talking about real entities. Okay, here's the best example, Sean. Hold on. Here's the best example. If you go into a place that is like evil, like I remember back when I was selling dope and things like that, and when you really hit a dope house, like a crack house, and you get ready to walk in, and you can feel
that presence,
like
that
evil,
energy.
the evil energy there.
Motherfuckers that want to steal your wallet.
No, not even if there's nobody in there though.
I've been in dope houses.
It could be completely empty. It's just
and you can
energy imprint that's left behind. Yeah, because
and it's not like it's filthy, dirty. You can feel it. You can, most crack houses are fucking nasty. They got shit on the wall. I'm saying like when they chill and they smoke and they just do awful things up in that place. You can feel it. I felt it so many times. I'll tell my dude, I'm like, yeah, man, take this shit. I need to go. Something ain't right,
Okay. Damn it.
Who just popped up? Oh, it's Sean. Okay.
Want to make sure? Hang on.
I'm gonna look that video.
Damn, I should have brought my glasses. I can't see nothing.
All right.
Yeah, I do. I usually bring them with me, and I left them. But
at first, when we first seen the whole video, I didn't believe shit of it.
because I shouldn't be looking at it anyway. But I'm trying to find something.
Okay,
But that's all
and
right.
then
Thank you.
have you guys done research on study?
Where is this at? What was that, Sean?
Study on what?
Yeah, I'm on my phone now. Have you done like research of like what your brain's capable of doing? So
I did a little bit. I didn't dig
So,
too deep in that
I'm
because
a
like a lot of people get stuck in that stuff and they think that DMT
okay, but
causes this and blah blah blah. Maybe we can get to the
so, like,
spiritual
hey,
realm by
if you
doing a
want
bunch
to
of
talk
drugs.
DMT, if you want to talk DMT, I can tell you right now for a fact, DMT does take you somewhere, and it is not like drugs.
Yeah, but no, it is still a drug. That DMT is still inhibiting signals in the brain.
You do know
They
that
cannot deny
you
that.
have DMT in your system.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah, we
Actually-
have it, but it's running at a specific flow, for certain frequency rate. But when you take an outside source of it and you put it into your body, you are increasing. It's like you got a faucet dripping, right? Just drip.
It's
drip.
like
That's your natural
steroids.
rate, right? And then you put that extra DMT. Now it's just drip, 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 drip. Now you just caused your brain to start running like hyperdrive,
It's on
and
like
it's almost like a
overload
dream
almost.
state while you're awake.
Exactly.
It's just
But
like
here's
it's
the
just
thing.
like with
Okay, but here's the thing. If we all three,
What will happen?
he's on his phone now. His
picture
signal's probably just
exactly
in and
as
out.
it.
Start over again, Sean. You cut out.
All right, I did.
Yeah, you cut out. Like you said, like
Right.
2 words and nothing afterwards.
See, and just real quick, while there's a little bit of law, this is something that you might want to look into, Sean. It's called universal law. It's called the conservation of energy. This is something that is what it is. You can't create energy and you can't destroy it. It's just something that can change forms. So
Okay, I'm
you
looking
might
into it.
want to.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. I'm definitely
Right.
looking into it.
So now when I say what I was saying before, this is why I say that when that body passes on, bro, that electrical signal that makes up your consciousness, that goes on forever. That's like, I always use the analogy, if your soul was the length of like I-95 from north to south in its entirety, the life that you live right now might be the length of your the first mile marker. So
Then maybe,
you know,
okay, well then
you're gonna be back.
maybe your body isn't energy. Maybe it may.
No, your body's not. Actually, your body is comprised of energetic particles. That's what makes the physical body. But the consciousness, no. But see, this is the difference, because the consciousness is the thing that controls or inhabits the body. The body is a separate entity than the consciousness. That's why when the body dies, it returns to the earth or whatever, and then the consciousness returns to the source or the creator. You're going back in.
You can't. That's not something you can show.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes,
Can't.
but you don't have to show it. You don't have to show it, because you have the law of conservation, the conservation of energy, that tells you what happens to that energy.
Okay, so does a battery create energy?
No, a battery is a storage of energy. Somebody put that energy into that battery. Now, I'm gonna hit you with
all those molecules, the electric fields that we have around us. Maybe we're just a source of a storage of energy.
I got that. I understand what you're saying, Sean. That could be a possibility.
But you're right. But you're absolutely right. On some degree, the people that inhabit the so-called plane, that we live on or whatever, we are kind of like the batteries. We help it work. It doesn't work without us.
Exactly.
We don't work without it.
Yep.
Well, that's because it's all one symbiotic system. This is why it's so. I don't want to say easy, because to them it's easy because they've been doing it for so long. But when you really get a grasp of what's going on, this is why it's so easy for them to manipulate us, because everything's intertwined. Once they get you on one level, it by proxy locks you into another paradigm, because it's set up that way. Everything is all interconnected.
But then to think that, then we shouldn't think flat Earth. We shouldn't think 9/11 was a conspiracy. That's why I don't believe they know everything. Because there's so many different patterns for mind control, because there's so many different ways of trying to do it.
Yeah.
But you also got to understand.
Realistically, some people can be hypnotized, but there are people who can't.
True that. That's because they know how to.
They know how to control
They know
that
how to, right. They know how to stop
consciousness.
you. They know how to
So-
stop you from being able to take over their consciousness.
Yeah, them. Okay. I thought you're talking about the people that were being hypnotized or not.
No.
No, yeah, 100%. I can tell you right now exactly how a hypnotist works. He knows who he's going to hypnotize before he even says, "I want to have people come up here." That's why they talk to you.
Yeah, because you're putting your attention onto that
Yeah.
person, and when you
And
put
you
that
have to
attention,
be-
you're putting all of your consciousness on that person, and nothing
Right, but
really around you, so that they got control of you right then and there at that moment.
And the person that's being hypnotized has to be open to hypnotization.
Hypnosis and stuff. Yeah.
Right, they have to be open to it. Now there are said to be people that are advanced enough where they can actually place spells over people without hypnotizing them, and to a degree, I believe that that's true.
I think it's a placebo effect.
You break it up.
You said a pseudo effect.
I don't think so at all, because like I mean, you know, if you know what telepathy and things like this are, where you can see where these things actually occur, what they call ESP and these sixth senses. And
no, there's no.
Oh, hold on. Pseudo though, the thing about the pseudo effect thing, pseudo doesn't always mean it's not real. Pseudo means that it can be either fake, or it's a mimic of something else. For example, like pseudoephedrine. Pseudo means it is a mimic synthesized version of ephedrine. It still does the same thing, but just not in a natural way. It does it in this man-made way.
So,
but when they use pseudo, when it applies to science, though, technically,
the reason why
virtually
ESP and all that stuff
everything that
isn't
we've
real,
been given is pseudo.
I
said technically everything that we've ever been given, according to mainstream, to some degree is pseudo. Even though the science is valid, it hasn't been applied in a manner that's productive. It's been used to do some shady stuff.
True. That's not true.
The science is, listen, huh?
Pain meds.
What about them?
Pain meds, they know exactly what it'll affect. And
you gotta
not a placebo
point.
You're saying
to a point though. Yeah, you're saying things twice, but that's to a point though. Like, for example, Tramadol. It's a synthesized version of an opiate.
It's a downgrade.
It is, but it's a synthesized version of it. It's completely fully synthesized. It's No, I'm not saying it's a placebo. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's still the derivative of an opiate, but it is the synthesized version of it. They mimicked it exactly to
just
run
real quick. I'm
gonna
say this about like ESP and what they call remote viewing and things like that. If you don't believe that type of stuff is real, all you got to do is look at, not necessarily now, because I think they're going to hide it now, but if you go back into, like the 60s and the 70s and times like that, and you can actually pull up records where the Department of Defense or the U.S. government in general, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on remote viewing projects and things of this nature, ESP studies, this, that, and the other. Those people ain't spending that type of money on no program like that unless they see some possible use for it.
And here's what it is, because I've watched a lot of those videos. What happens is they test the brainwave and they see something. They see a spike. The problem is they can't do it every time. They can't observe it all the time. It's not something that is.
You talk like the scans when they run them brain scans.
Yes, they run brain scans. They see the spikes when they're saying they're doing this, or they're trying to.
They're doing the see function. If they're on this kind of drug, or if they're dreaming, this specific area of the brain is being is
activated. Right.
The best example for even today times is the whole thing with meth is the best example. You can't tell me these people out there smoking meth that made it out of a pseudoephedrine pill. That's not real. They're not really high and freaking speeding off this man-made
pseudo high.
The problem is,
you know what I'm saying?
No, because they're not just getting high off that. They're getting high off the chemicals that they put into it.
Yeah, but I mean the thing about methamphetamine, the methyl groups in methamphetamine,
it's pretty much going to affect you all the same way.
Yeah, the methyl group. And hold on. The part in methamphetamine. That is a methyl group that actually passes the whole the
Blood-brain barrier.
amino acid. Exactly, it passes the amino acids to the brain instantly, rather than like you take an Adderall, which is an amphetamine. It's not gonna hit you instantly. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But it has
the
the
problem with
ability
that
to
is
cross the
it is
blood-brain
not
barrier.
just
Yeah,
that
after so
you
much
take it.
time. Exactly. It
But
does
that's
contain
not
a
just,
type
it's
of
not,
methyl group. It's an L. It's an L
it's
methyl.
not just that
But
they're
yeah,
taking.
look,
They're also taking
this-
other chemicals that are mixed with it.
This was the real quick.
No, the chemicals that are mixed with it, they're not all the same chemicals still. When you start off, we got pseudoephedrine. You have the pseudoephedrine, you either use lithium, right?
Okay.
Lithium creates an
Tell me-
ionic bond. You
tell
take
me
lithium
the
and
effects of that.
sulfuric acid. Them two with a pressure as well as a certain amount of heat will cause the catalyst change to turn it from being
Okay, but
ephedrine
it's
into
the
a
fact
methyl
that
group
you add a chemical to it.
amphetamine, and then the amphetamine turns into ephedrine. Then the ephedrine gets converted into methadone, and then depending from right there is where they either turn it into Adderall or street drug meth garbage. And
Okay, but what you're not like you're leaving out is the fact that the mix of the other chemicals amplifies the speeding part of it.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
yes,
is. That's
you're right
why.
about that.
That's why when you
It's
take one
taking
pill from a
this and
doctor,
putting
it can
this
do the
and
same
that,
thing.
and yeah, but it's still a catalyst though. The catalyst is creating a change. Because you can't just
Okay.
take
Here's the thing.
sulfuric acid and drink it and get high. You ain't gonna get high off it. You ain't gonna smoke this shit and get high.
Bullshit.
No,
Okay,
you're gonna
look, let me
die. Is
explain
what's gonna happen. That's
something.
the difference.
Let me explain.
You're
Look,
gonna
I'm gonna
die.
tell you exactly how I know. How I know, like ESP and all that isn't real, and how drugs work like that. Placebo effect is a proven fact, and it does work.
Yeah, that is a real thing.
You can meditate and get just as high as any other drug.
Hey,
Fine.
No. You can't do that.
ESP is not real? You say
No,
that ESP is
wait.
not real?
You can't do that, or you haven't done that, but it is doable.
I don't know. Not when it comes to high though. Things like that high with
Yeah.
dopamine receptors and serotonin and what's the other the other chemical for what is it, babe? The other endorphin. What is it? There's serotonin. There's the other one that sounds
Melatonin.
melatonin, yeah, and dopamine. These specific three, you can't say that. Oh, this is you can make a fake ass iodine crystal that looks just like a meth rock, right? And they go to smoke it. You can tell them that, oh yeah, this is the good shit, and they're gonna hit it. They're gonna know.
gonna do
They're
shit.
not gonna get high. They're not gonna do nothing. It's not the amphetamine part is not gonna
It's not there.
stimulate the central nervous system, and the amino acid is not there to go to the brain to start the inhibited process on the brain functions.
Bullshit.
I promise you.
Bullshit. You ever heard of a runner's
I've
high?
heard so many people out here they take and they'll make iodine crystals just to make extra money on a bag, so that they can put
Okay,
these
put it this way.
crystals in there that look just like it, and they have a heavy ass bag, and those crystals won't do nothing, and they're going
filler or cut.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. Danny, what happens if you take Adderall?
Adderall is an actual thing, though. Adderall is an amphetamine. It contains the amino acid that goes to the brain, and then
What happens if you take Adderall?
what happens? It speeds up your central
what is the
nervous
effects to
system.
you? What? No. What happened? Like, so you pop an Adderall in right now. What are the effects on you?
The effects. I mean, well, at the same time, it really depends too a little bit on the person's anatomy. Like, I don't believe the whole ADD, ADHD bullshit. I don't believe that, because that just causes issues in the future for kids. But like I was saying though, you know, the amphetamine is first thing it's going to do. The amp part of the amphetamine is going to it's going to amplify your central nervous system, increase your heart rate. So there's where all the extra energy comes from, right? While the because it's amphetamine, the amine part, which is the amino acid, goes to the brain and starts to pass the brain blood barriers. Depending if it contains a methyl group, it'll do it instantly. If it doesn't, it'll do it over so much time.
Okay.
And when it starts doing that, it increases the flow from dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin.
You said my mic was messed up. All I want to know is, do you get amped? Do you stay up?
Well, back when I used to, yeah. Shit.
Okay. Now, guess what happens when I take Adderall?
Like I said though, it depends on the anatomy though.
Yes. When I take Adderall, I go to sleep.
It depends on the physiology
exactly,
and the size of the
because-
person that takes it. because everything
Okay, so
affects people
The
differently.
what does that
amphetamine,
say?
because the amino
That says
acid is still gonna
that
trigger
means
your brain
what you're
function.
saying, Danny. But hang on, just got done explaining about how meth is made and all that kind of stuff. What you're saying is that a high level and then a generic using a generic level, it's not going to be the same.
No, that's not what
But the reality is,
we're
not
not
all
all
can be the
saying.
same. So
So
that's
I'm
not
saying
true.
that your rate, because okay, what I'm saying is that specific things that are in ephedrine, every person's anatomy is different, especially when it comes to the central nervous system, the way the flows run and the way the stomach metabolizes and all. I mean, all that is part of it.
Okay.
If you have well, they try. I'm guessing you got ADHD, right, or ADD,
Yes.
one of those, right? So when you take the amphetamine, the amplification part
Yep.
that usually would amplify somebody, your body already produces the amphetamine type, but
Yep.
it's not
It
the
overloads.
amphetamine. It's the natural source. It's a
Yeah. So basically, I get overload.
uh no. It slows you down. It doesn't amplify you.
Yeah, it's like a sugar rush. It overloads.
Yeah, you're right. It does overload because basically you have so much of that running in your system already, and then you won't and put this version, man-made version, which is very similar to it, and it just basically works the other way around. Like some people say, like you can drink,
Okay.
I can drink like 2 beers, right, and I'll get sleepy. But if I drink like 6 beers, I'm not getting sleepy. I'm gonna be.
Oh, if I
you know
drink
what
one
I'm
beer, I'm going to bed.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it depending on how much you're putting in your system, and depending on how your anatomy and how the whole your body is running and all the functions are depends on
Okay.
how
And that
each
just
chemical
that
in
also
it
just
is
proves
gonna
right
react.
there. That also proves right there that it's impossible for doctors to know everything about a body because not one body is the damn same.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's what. Well, we're not saying that they know everything,
But
I know
that's
for
also what I'm
sure.
saying
I know
because
for the
there are people that
and they fuck us over.
that can meditate. Or shit, I don't even know. I haven't brought it up. Dre, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. I can tell you right now that getting in a deprivation tank for an hour is exactly like being high.
Well, see now this is I've never been in one, but I can actually see the process in my head how that could actually be um, basically true, that you could actually become intoxicated by being in a deprivation tank only because your body has no external stimuli and your
Exactly.
brain
Wait a minute. What is
brain
what is it? I need to know what this tank is. I need to know what this tank is. I don't know what it is.
a
I'll
deprivation
explain.
tank is a tank full of saline salt water to the point that you float effortlessly. You don't have to do anything. You just
Okay.
float, and it's also at 97 degrees,
It's your
so
body
it
temperature.
matches your body temperature. So you feel nothing. It literally feels like you're floating
Is
in
it? What
nothingness.
about the atmospheric pressure in the room as
Now,
well?
the room
It's just
pressure,
it's
the
even.
room pressure, and
Now,
Does it
everything
stay
is the same.
sustained?
But
Okay.
yeah.
you're in a warm tank. You're floating in a warm bath, basically, and you have no
It's
sensation of sound. There's no sound that you can hear,
yeah,
and
it's
there's no light,
enclosed.
and no light that you can see. You literally cannot hear anything. You literally cannot see anything, and you're in a bathtub or a tank of warm saline water, and you're just floating, untethered. Your mind is the only thing that can work at that point because there's no external stimuli. So your mind is going to want to cope with that. To your mind, for the first time, it might even be stressful, and your mind might
Yeah,
Oh,
produce
it
some
takes
you'll probably be
powerful.
more
it takes a
stressful
couple.
at the first time. Yeah.
Well, no,
It takes a
I
couple
don't.
times.
Yeah, I don't think you'll stress out to the point like you have anxiety, like you would if somebody was
Depends
chasing
on
you,
the
No,
trying to
person
hurt you.
too.
But
if
it's
you are
kind of like a
claustrophobic, you do get that way.
That's what I was gonna say. Like if you have, it depends on the person. If they have issues with complete silence and stuff like that,
No,
there
oh
might
yeah,
be
they're
an
gonna
issue for
freak
them,
out.
you would yeah,
or
you
total
wouldn't do that if
darkness.
you did.
Dude, you got doubles
Uh,
coming out like crazy, Sean.
Yeah.
I got what?
Doubles.
But yeah, dude, I was talking about that a while ago. I actually want to open up a sensory deprivation spa around where I live, man. I think that would be a big boom.
Another good
Honestly.
It would.
example though, Sean, about the whole deprivation tank thingy or whatever. You know, it's like when people put what is it called, Epsom salts and stuff in a bath again, because your body can take
Epsom
things
salt.
in what is it called, how do you say it, where you can touch something and it goes through your skin. Best example is
Yeah,
like
That's absorption.
people that are people that cook
your
meth in
skin.
a house, and then some new people move in and
That's
they never clean
absorption.
the house.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
but there's another
absorption.
name for it. There's another name for it.
What, osmosis?
Pathogenic. It's a pathogenic like that. Basically, it can go right
it's a
through your skin.
pathogenic.
I think that's what it's called, right, babe? I can't remember.
A pathogen?
A pathogen, yeah, that's it. A pathogen.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the
basically, like for example, you know, say you bought a house from some people and you didn't know nothing about it, but they were cooking meth in it before. Next thing you know, your kid starts getting sick, and then they go to the take them to the doctor. Next thing you know, they got methamphetamine in their system.
That's absorption.
That's all through the walls. No, it was on the walls. They just touched the wall. It's going through and it's going through their body.
But that's absorption when you can actually take stuff in through your skin.
Like lead poisoning.
Listen, your skin is the largest organ your body has, and you can absorb through it. Listen, I'm gonna tell you a story. I had a buddy. This was back in the day, like when crack first hit the scene. One of my boys was a big time dealer. So this is what happened. We used to get these pies. We used to bring the pies back to his crib, break them up. Now this fool, for whatever reason, he wanted to be a hard rock, and he chose not to wear gloves while everybody was bagging up rocks or whatever. Yeah, and he's still fighting his cocaine addiction to this day because he refused to wear gloves, and he became addicted through absorption from handling that without gloves. So it's definitely absorption. And what you're saying about moving into a strange house where people may have cooked, absolutely that can occur, absolutely easily, especially with that stuff because it's so toxic.
Yeah, and depending on what they use when they were making it, like I mean, you can use several different, solvents or whatnot. You know what I'm saying, to take the cocaine molecule and break it down to its simplest form into crack. Usually some people would use ether, some people would use acetone, some people, they use specific chemicals, and then depending on the impurities of the chemical sources that you use. So if you bought the cheapest brand, everything you can get, the impurity levels is going to be ridiculous.
Right.
So you're going to have some weird effects from it.
This was before the the Reddies was even, it wasn't even out. This is when people had to actually take it and make it themselves, into a crack.
They had to break it down. Yeah, they had to take it to the simplest form. And usually the soda, you got the baking soda, your water, and most likely it was ether at the time, right?
I'm sorry, these kids are out of control. I didn't even hear you.
I think at that time it was mainly ether, right? Is what they used.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, ether was pretty much the only thing they could get at that time that would do it.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what happened to him, man. Breaking up pies with no gloves, and he became addicted. Straight up.
It goes right through your skin, depending on what substance it is. Like, it depends on the substance. You can't take someone that never smoked weed and don't want to smoke weed or whatever, and have them break up a 20 bag and for someone to roll a blunt. They're not going to. They're not going to want to smoke it. If they don't want to smoke it, they're not going to want to smoke it. But depending on. Yeah, but I'm saying that's
a psychological addiction, though. That's not a physical addiction.
But it's not a pathogen at that level unless it is a cook down. When you cook it down and either get your CBD, if you get CBD oil, if you turn into CBD oil, that can actually be absorbed through the skin. Absolutely. Like when, for example, when they've been doing for kids that have seizures and stuff, they use the combined oils. When they're having a seizure, they can take the oil and put it on their feet, and the seizure stops like that.
And one of your feet are actually one of the good places for absorption to occur.
And also, your feet is where your body expels a lot of things too.
Yeah. That's why they tell you, about the onion on the feet with the socks when you sick.
Yeah. I used to do it all the time.
Okay.
The onion. I got a cold and I don't want to take no medication and shit. I'll just go get an onion, slice some bitches, put them on my socks. You wake up the next morning and fine. But that onion, I'm telling you, that onion will be like green.
Yeah, sometimes they turn black depending on what is pulling out your body, because that's why you're not supposed to put your onions when you cut them and put them in aluminum foil in the refrigerator. You
gotta make sure it is something that's closed and secure, because that's what I worked at McDonald's.
No. What it is because when you put the onion in aluminum foil, it starts to pull the aluminum on a molecular level.
I mean, onions itself,
the onion absorbs it. But this is what I'm saying. But this is one of the good properties about an onion. It's absorption properties. That's why you shouldn't put them in aluminum foil, because then it starts to absorb that aluminum, and then when you eat that, you're eating the aluminum. That's how powerful the onion is. That's why
aluminium aluminium sulfate in your body. Sulfite in your body.
Yeah, you got it.
But like I was saying when this fucking saying. Damn it.
My bad.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
I know, right?
But I gotta use the bathroom record. I'll be right back.
No doubt.
Hopefully I'll remember.
Yeah, because I don't know what you was gonna say.
It's go home. Everything that we just talked about is 100% the reason why I could say that they don't know. We're not the same. And to the energy thing, I could definitely see.
What do you mean we're not the same?
How we're not in it. Biologically, just
no. Wait. That's not true. We are the same. But what it is there's a baseline of commonality, and that's the structure of the body, the basic function of the body, and then you have subtleties and nuances according to the individual entity or biological structure, if you will. But as far as a human being is concerned, there is a baseline protocol, if you will, as far as how the body functions and typical responses to typical things. For instance, I don't care what the difference is between two people. If they take things and one works for them and it don't work for this other person, I guarantee you, if both of them drink a 40 ounce of ammonia, they're going to have the same exact effect. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on.
I would hope so.
Well,
I would think so.
This is what I'm getting at when I say no. The human body is exactly the same, but there are subtleties and nuances as far as the individual is concerned and how they respond to external stimuli and chemicals and things of that nature. But other than that, for the most part, the body is across the board the same, and this is why and how they can develop medications and then basically deliver them to people on a large scale, because they understand that basic, that benchmark of functionality when it applies to the human body. I just had to say that. I don't.
I see what you're saying. No, I see exactly what you're saying now. Yeah. We all are we all are a base model. It's just sometimes different things work differently.
You got it.
Different cars.
Yeah, like somebody might have the 12 CD changer, but somebody else got the cassette deck.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
You got your diesels, you got your gasoline, you got your methanols, you got the blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. So baseline.
But what I was saying before is with the brain, the fact that the placebo effect is a real thing. That it's not always about what the mix of something is or the drug is. You could meditate that can get to that high place just as high as any. Where that's the reason. The runner's high.
Do that like that when it comes to stimulants, because you ain't somebody gonna be able to meditate. Next thing you know, they get up and they start running like a crackhead. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Somebody's not going to meditate. Somebody's not going to meditate and get the munchies.
No, man. Look, think about
when I'm training
with their head.
When I'm training
a windshield or a back window.
No, see, that's not true. That's not true, because when I compete, I get that same feeling of getting pumped and let's go.
Yeah, but you're not going to run to it. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to run out of your mind to the car and throw your head through a back window.
No, see, drugs don't make you do that. Your brain does that. Something's already wrong with your brain.
It does. Too much inhibiting chemicals like that will cause other brain functions to start to rapidly increase as well. Your brain is just firing in all crazy ass proportions.
Right, and when your brain is in that state and it's actually making connections that it may have never made ever before, or connections that may whatever, you're experiencing things you've never experienced before. You have capabilities in some instances that you didn't have before, like the one that he's talking about. And I think the dude
that's a false sense of capabilities.
It doesn't matter, but it's the drug that provides that false sense of I can do this.
And
Like you
so
don't
does a
have.
runner's high.
Yeah,
Soda's getting pumped
but
up after
that's
when you compete.
but that is a
It's the same thing.
specialized high. You can't achieve a methamphetamine type of high from running. You can't
Yes, you can.
achieve. No,
Because,
you
see,
can't.
your problem.
You
You guys
stimulate
are
the
making it
same.
seem
You can stimulate the same part of the brain, but you can't reproduce that type of high because it's a chemical that produces that type of high, and your body's not producing that particular
it's the
chemical.
chemical that no, the drug is a chemical that makes your chemistry in your body do things. When you okay, put it this
Yeah.
way, when you take up some pain meds and say you had surgery, you take pain meds and you don't feel that pain anymore, the pain is still there.
Yeah, it's blocking the
So
UI receptor is what it's doing.
exactly. It doesn't mean so when you get all amped up on drugs, it doesn't mean that the drug is it's what the
Okay.
drug is what makes the
No, so
chemicals in your brain do what you're doing.
hold on. Okay, stop right there. So then, how can you explain the fact that when somebody's hopped up on PCP, it takes 9 cops to restrain them? They don't have that strength when
Yeah,
they're
there's
not
there's
high.
a huge difference when it comes to
No, it's the same. It's the same strength,
No,
but also they
no.
no,
also
it's
end up
not.
having blood.
No, it's not, dude. It's
Yeah,
not the
There's
they
same
people
have.
strength.
that do that freaking what is it called, bath salts.
Salvia,
They can do so much
bath
bath
salts.
salt,
Yeah.
and they can pick up a side of a car up, pick it up,
Well, a woman
Okay,
did
and
that
they
I
at Ford
understand
because
that.
her
Now,
baby
physically
was
could
do you
not
big.
do
guys
that on a
understand what
normal.
happens after that? Do you understand what happens after that?
Oh, they probably
Yeah,
have a broken back and all kinds of issues.
right. They usually
So
suffer a
it
consequence, just like the guy that ran headfirst into a back of a parked car at 10 miles an hour. He was running about 10 miles an hour, and he just rammed it like he was a daggone bison or something,
Yeah,
and got up and ran away.
that's
You can't do
but
that when you're sober or after you
you
just
if
can't
ran
you
a
yeah,
can't you can't inhibit that that much
if you have
race
a
in the
chemical
brain
imbalance, you
by.
can.
I don't
See,
know, like to
you guys,
that point. I
you guys
see
are
what you're
bypass. You guys are
saying.
listen.
I
This
understand
is
what you're
all I'm
saying, Tom.
saying.
I don't know to that
This,
level. That is a
this is
ridiculous
all I'm
no.
level that
saying.
these
That's
drugs
the
are
thing.
Listen to
doing
me.
to people.
This is all I'm
You when
saying.
you say you
This
can't
is
or you can,
listen
you're
to me.
assuming what you would do or you wouldn't do.
This is all I'm
But
saying.
none of us
I am
works
saying
like
to
that.
you, I'm saying to you that even though people gain what's called a runner's high from jogging or whatever they do, or like they just will want a gold a medal, Olympic medal or whatever, that yeah, you do get a natural high off of that, but that's produced from the natural dopamine that your
Functions
body produces.
and the natural
Okay, so
functions
And
for
that's
the
all
body.
high
right.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Then
That's
I'm
all
telling
high
you.
is.
No,
Right.
not all highs are the same
What
though.
I'm saying to you is you cannot achieve a methamphetamine high or type of high from running or winning an Olympic gold medal because it's a whole different chemical
Yeah, it's
process that's involved.
No, see,
You
that's the
can't
problem.
achieve that.
You're thinking you're not adding a chemical to your brain. You're
your
you're
body
making
does
your
not
brain
produce
chemicals do something
methamphetamines.
different.
Your body does
Dopamine
not
is the
produce.
Yes, it
only
does.
No, your body does not
Are
produce
you
methamphetamine.
serious?
Your body produces adrenaline. Adrenaline is
Hey,
a
okay.
natural thing. It comes from the adrenal gland.
dopamine also. It
Guess what?
produces
Methamphetamine
dopamine.
inhibits the adrenal gland to start increasing
Same thing.
the central nervous system at a
Okay.
ridiculous rate.
You're not at okay. You're not adding a drug to your body. You're disturbing
You're
the brain
missing the
chemicals.
point that
You're
I'm trying. The point
changing
that
the
I'm trying
chemicals.
to
That's
make is
all. That's what a high is.
you can't achieve a methamphetamine high on a natural high from running or anything else because it's
Yes, you can.
too cause that
There's no
reaction. No,
way.
you can't. One's
There's
caused
no
by
way.
dopamine. One is caused by dopamine, which is the runner's high, and dopamine is basically a natural form of cocaine. Cocaine and methamphetamine are two different things, completely,
But they
totally.
have similarities to the whole
One's a
central
nerve.
nervous system part, though.
See, okay. So let me get this straight then. Let me get this
methamphetamine
straight.
high
One at a time.
Okay. Let me ask you something.
on
Let me ask you
dopamine.
something. So when you get a guy gets a runner's high and you test his brain levels and his dopamine levels, and
His
then someone
dopamine
that's on
levels are going to be
drugs,
elevated.
That do you
And then
realize
and
that?
then
okay,
when
Do you
you
realize
test
that's how
and
they
then when
find
you
out when some
test
people
exactly.
are
No,
using
hang on. Stop.
synthesized drugs?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
what?
Adding a drug to your body, you're making the chemistry in your body do different things. So yes, you can get a runner's high and be the same thing. It
I
may
didn't
not
say
be
you
To a
as
couldn't.
point.
take you to the
I'm
moon.
Well, this is
Yeah,
what I'm trying to tell you. You can't achieve the same type of high from a natural thing that's a part of your body being
yeah,
dopamine as
that's one
opposed
thing.
to
Yeah,
a synthetic thing that
Okay.
can be 1,000 times more powerful called a methamphetamine. You can't get a methamphetamine high from a dopamine rush.
yeah,
It's
because
just
the
impossible.
Well, earlier
increases
Danny said that
dopamine
you can get.
itself, not
Wait, wait, come on.
serotonin and
So,
melatonin as well. It doesn't
so
increase those.
you've never smoked like bad weed that just didn't get you high?
What do you mean? That
Yeah,
marijuana affects dopamine though only.
that's
Okay.
something different,
I
completely different.
okay. Stop. I'm not saying they all do the exact same thing. The matter is running, taking meth, smoking weed. It changes the chemical balance. It
Yes,
changes
it
the
does. Yes,
levels in
you're
your
right.
brain and your body. You're not adding it
Absolutely.
to your body.
But
So
what we're
if
saying
someone,
about the
there are
high
people
though.
that can get that runner's high. There are people that can get to that spot.
To the whole
Yes,
meth thing about it,
Can't
but
imagine
the
it.
fact about the
but
meth part is
everybody
we don't.
achieves it through dopamine. You can't get a methamphetamine type of high off of dopamine. So yes, they can achieve that runner's high, but it's not the same thing that the methamphetamine user experiences. It's not the same high that the acid
Yeah,
user experiences. It's not the same high that the peyote user experiences. It is a high indeed, but it is nothing
yeah, it's a
remotely
natural
close.
high.
It is.
But when it
It
comes
is.
to the
It is.
meth,
It is.
no, because when it comes to meth, our body does not produce that kind of amino acid
Absolutely
What
not.
makes you get up and go? What makes you get up and go?
in methamphetamine.
How do you get up? No,
How
well,
you
I
get
don't
up?
know. But I'm saying no. Okay. Well, what makes you get up from a sleep, get out of bed, get dressed, and go to work?
That's adrenaline. Your adrenaline is always running, and you can control that to a
No, no.
certain
Okay,
extent. I understand what you're saying there, but you
and
can never
that
hit
okay.
those
So
levels
when you're
like
on
it
drugs,
does on
I
those
mean,
crazy
technically,
drugs.
I
that's
would say it's
bullshit. You
serotonin.
can't.
I would say it's serotonin because serotonin, once the melatonin level drops, the serotonin level increases because it's a natural part of the
Well,
circadian rhythm
exactly.
when you wake up during the daytime. So that's all about your
You're also
hormones.
you're also talking like each one of these levels of stuff in your brain does it on its own. Your body is constantly everything's
Yeah,
balancing and doing this and that.
yeah, you're
On a
right.
natural level, yeah, it does
Yeah,
occur on its own.
so you're telling me that a mother that that picks a car up off her son, she had to have been on drugs?
No, because that's a
Absolutely not.
different.
But she
No,
was
that's a
faced with a
different story.
situation where her child was in danger, and she got an
Exactly.
adrenaline rush because it's a natural response to a mother who has a child that's in distress, and then she gets that adrenaline shot, and then she's able to get that
What's the
car up
difference
high enough to get her kid out.
The
But I
difference is, hold on.
guarantee
The
you,
difference
I
is the
guarantee
between
you
fact
though,
that
but
adrenaline
I
and
guarantee you, listen, but I guarantee you, when that lady came back down to her
what's
normal state of physiological being, she was in a lot of pain, and she may have even needed hospitalization.
I
yeah,
understand what you're
same with
saying,
Very
drugs.
100%,
possibly.
Sean, but it's still not the same thing. Like what he's saying, or like
Okay,
he's saying with the
I'm not
child
saying
thing.
the exact
That
same,
when you guys
but
get
it's
the fear
everything's the
chemical.
same
What is
concept.
fear? Oh, that pheromone for fear. What is that called? I can't remember what the pheromone's called, but that fear as well as the dopamine that starts to be triggered, the adrenaline starts to get triggered because the dopamine is going to give you the strength if it's running at enough flow as well as the adrenaline, right?
Okay,
It'll
so
give you
wait, what you're telling me
that
is
high
that so
maintain
you're telling me if you
contain.
take drugs that they control things that your body chemical doesn't have.
No, what it does is that it controls things in an off manner, completely off. Like I was saying about the drips, say if you're running, your dopamine receptor is going like drip, 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 and then you start running more and more and more. You start picking up speed, adrenaline starts kicking down, so drip, 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 drip. But when you're taking meth and things like that, it's not no drips. That's a constant open faucet. The whole time, and
Do you know
at
the
different
difference between
rates,
a
it'll just
sprinter?
stop, and then this one will start. This one,
Danny, stop, hang on. Do you know the difference between a sprinter and a cross country runner?
what do you mean?
Do you understand what the difference between the two types of runners are, right?
Yeah, like
I
a
do. I
country
used to
runners,
run
don't
track.
they run
I
like
didn't even
very
hear.
far? The
I
country
didn't hear
runners.
what you said.
Okay,
Can you say
so
that
a
again?
cross country runner runs 25 miles. Yeah, a cross country runner will run 25 miles. A sprinter runs 40 yards. Do you believe that their dopamine or whatever you were saying, that drip thing, is the same?
No, nowhere near the same.
That's what I'm saying. Everything you guys you're saying is exactly what I'm saying, except for the fact that you guys are taking out the fact that the body is doing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand the body's doing it, but the body's not doing it. It does. Our body does never produce
You're,
the
so you're
amino
saying,
acid for the mental high.
I'm
That's all I'm
sorry.
saying. That's
Okay,
all I'm
well,
saying. The mental high.
because your body doesn't produce meth, doesn't mean it doesn't produce the same effect.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Go back a step. Our body produces the amphetamine part, the adrenaline. That's basically the same thing because the amphetamine is made from if pseudoephedrine
Difference.
is basically the same thing as a derivative of adrenaline. All right.
Okay, then how are you telling me that you can't achieve these things without
Be-
drugs?
Because it's you can't get those rates because methamphetamine
No,
has a
you can't get
complete
those rates.
random
See,
rates. They're
right.
making
This
them
is the thing that
crazy. Just
this is the thing is that these things are powerful and they're dangerous, and it's not meant for your body to experience it on a natural level. So when you start talking about meth and things like this, these are things that
Wait.
man synthesized. They are
So
far more powerful than the natural chemicals that you interact with on a natural level. When you introduce an external chemical, something like a methamphetamine, and then it takes
oh
hold and starts to have its
yeah,
function on the brain, it's completely different than the
yeah.
dopamine that is natural that causes people to have those runner's highs
no.
or be
See,
the
that's what I'm
It
adrenaline
saying.
is
that
different because
allows
think about it
them.
like this,
It's
Sean.
absolutely
The
different.
Think about it like this, Sean. If you did the running right and you got that crazy run, you got the adrenaline, all the flows going right. When you got done running, you're not going to be coming down because when the body's
yes,
coming
you did.
down, no, not like this. When the
Yes, you
body's
did.
coming down from meth, if you did so much of that stuff,
Dude, I just
you
got done
can
training and I'm
die.
sore and I'm
No,
tired.
you ain't gonna die though. You ain't gonna die. Is what I'm
No,
saying.
that's because your body becomes dependent.
No, your body is being your brain is being inhibited by this signal as well as your central nervous system. So your body stops producing natural adrenaline. You're just running off the adrenaline, the pseudo
Yes. Okay.
ephedrine adrenaline from
Exactly.
the drug. So once that stops completely, you can literally die if your natural adrenal gland does not come back and pick up the pace how it's supposed to be. That's why
Okay.
you have a withdrawal.
You guys. Okay. You're saying exactly what I'm saying, but you're saying I'm wrong. So let's just say your dopamine
I'm
levels
just
at
saying
5.
the rate differences are a huge difference.
Of course it is. It's
That's all I'm saying.
yeah, I 100% get that. But what you're saying is that you don't get the same thing.
You don't get the mental high. No, do not get the mental high. No, no, they
Okay.
can't. I
So
promise you, you cannot get the same mental high because of the way that methamphetamine chemical works. It just randomly triggers things randomly. When you're
okay,
running
well
and you're
then,
focusing, you're using your brain that way.
when
You're
I take
making it do that.
Adderall, I should be amped then.
No, because
Okay, then I should be amped
no,
because
because
yeah,
it
it's an
depends on the
amphetamine.
disorder that you have, though. If you have the ADHD, your body reacts different to the ephedrine from amphetamines. A lot
Okay,
different.
but okay,
I'm serious.
you're
You'd
making
have
it
to have
seem
a
like you
whole
take.
new version way.
I gotta find something that I can explain this better because
The best example,
what you're
do that. What you were saying, go look up something, right? Look up a runner.
no,
Right, as soon as they get
I'll
done
put my
running.
camera on real quick.
All right.
I'm gonna put my camera on quick.
All right. Well,
Why can't you?
what I'm saying is, like,
Oh,
just
that's
look
why.
up something that shows a runner that was running, and they're looking at a CT scan of the
Okay.
brain, right?
See,
Wherever.
look, see this? You see how my hands are?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Okay. So someone I'm fucking uncomfortable trying to turn this. Okay, so right now, me and you, we're both same level.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go for a jog, and you're gonna take some meth. When
Okay.
I get to my highest adrenaline, just I'm amped and I'm ready to go. I'm here,
Mhm.
right? Now, we're
Meth
talking
is gonna put me.
dopamine
Meth is
levels,
gonna put
okay?
you through the damn roof.
Look, yeah. You're gonna be here, right?
Mhm.
Your dopamine levels, yours. That's what
Okay.
it is. It's not you're here to here. It's your dopamine levels are
That's just the
going
mental
up that
high
high.
part. Yeah, but that's
That's
just the
why it's
mental
dangerous.
high.
That's how you run out of it.
Well,
That's how
no, not just
you
that though. It's not that just that that's dangerous though. It's the central nervous system as well, because it's stimulating it. So making your body running off of the ephedrine adrenaline that is made synthetically by man. So eventually your adrenal gland is not producing anything. You're running off of that. So if if that just
No,
randomly
it doesn't
ran
run
out,
out like that.
if it that
How long it would take to do that?
it's
You know, how people say if you do drugs when you're a kid and you do it until your adulthood, you still act like a kid.
that's different kinds of
That's
drugs.
because your
Meth ain't
dopamine
gonna
level.
do that to you.
No, dude, I'm telling you right now, is amping up your chemicals. That's all you're doing. You're amping your
Yeah,
chemicals
I
up.
understand
So to
that,
say
though.
that someone
There's
can't,
a huge difference. It's like, oh, here's the best example:
no, it's not.
fake weed
You can,
versus real weed. Are you gonna get the same high? Hell no, you're not.
say again.
Right? But it's still
I didn't hear what you said.
triggering the same. Okay, synthetic weed versus marijuana. You're not gonna get the same high.
No, they don't trigger the same
Nowhere
thing.
near.
They don't trigger the same
They
thing.
trigger dopamine.
Huh? No, they don't.
I
Synthetic
can
does
show
not.
you right now. Synthetic marijuana. If you're getting the right stuff, that's supposed to be similar to marijuana. The synthetic stuff. It triggers the same functions, but the way it triggers it is in such a random manner. Your brain functions are going nuts. And it randomly start inhibiting other brain functions as well, and it doesn't need to be doing it. Like how Jay was saying earlier about using parts of your brain that you shouldn't be using. That's what those things would do. That's the only differences we're getting at. Is that naturally with the adrenaline gland and everything and getting yourself pumped up and ready to run, you're gonna get a natural effect and this kind of rate in dopamine. But and adrenaline, but when it comes to drugs like speed, eventually, that drip of the adrenaline is just going to slow down to a slower rate, and then your body's going to be running off of that man-made adrenaline. And if you just completely cold turkey that shit, you're going to die. I've had people almost die in front of me.
Okay, there are people that have disorders where they can't control that, right? Where they can go and go and go.
They can't control like getting pumped up.
Yeah, like there are people that can I guess you would call over adrenaline themselves. I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Where they get overexerting themselves by producing too much adrenaline. Yeah. But that's where the
you don't
adrenal
think that
gland
they're not
gets tired
producing
out.
enough adrenaline that's beyond that?
I don't. I mean, I ain't gonna say I know because I don't know that.
No. I know for a fact they do. They do. It can happen. The same way there are people that can eat and not get full, and they could kill themselves eating.
Yeah.
You can die from water.
I see what you're getting at. I mean, all I'm saying is the whole rate differences and the whole functionality differences are a huge difference. But they're very similar.
In a way, you're right, but at the same time, it's own body getting amped up more. It's not the drug.
Oh, it is the drug. Promise you,
it's a drug that does it, but it's a drug that does it. But the effects and the feeling you're getting is your chemical balances.
That are being inhibited by the
drug is making that happen.
The drug, yes. But there's a difference in the natural state, like how you're saying, and chemical suggestion through man-made products. There is a huge difference because they can't the body produces things in a normal rates, in a correct manner. When you get pumped up, you're controlling it in a normal manner. But when it comes to drugs like that, like meth and heroin, things like that, it's changing the body's natural stuff completely. When it comes to meth, it's
changing the levels, but it's not changing the chemical balance or the chemicals themselves.
It's changing the rates in the brain.
That's what I'm.
And the central nervous system,
the levels. Yeah, it's changing the levels. That's all it's doing. It's not changing anything else.
In a natural manner, though. It's not in a consistent naturally.
But when we started this, it was all about and knowing how everything works, and it doesn't work that way because everybody's levels and everybody reacts differently. And then you said that meth does not react the same to everybody, and that's why I asked you.
No. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to most people, because we'd already done figured that out before we even got this far into it. That people that have ADHD, I don't really truly believe it to that extent, like some people do.
But that's why I asked you.
But when it comes to people that all have the same, I'm saying people that get stimulated by amphetamine drugs, that contain the methyl groups or non-methyl groups.
Mhm.
It's not
Everything would
the
happen the exact
same.
opposite. When I smoke,
Yeah, nobody will be exactly the same because the fact of our different blood types, our different rates of our metabolism, our different rates of our liver and our kidneys and all that will not. Nobody will be exactly the same. You're right about that, but it's not going to be nowhere near natural. It's going to be way above the natural state and just random chemical sequences that shouldn't even be happening. Like people running their damn heads into a back of a car because they think
no, so
they're
that's the thing.
God.
That's that what you think and how, or your brain, what you, it's not, it's the same thing. There are people that get like that without drugs.
Yeah, they get that adrenaline, that
You
like
realize that, right?
adrenaline junkies. Yeah,
No. Like people that like hit themselves, slam their heads into walls and
yeah, like
shit like that.
autism though. Yeah, things like that. Yeah,
No, no, you can just say mental illness because
well, I
there are
mean,
grown men that
that's
don't
what
do
autism
drugs
is though.
but
Is a
do
mental
that
illness.
shit. No. Autism would be
It's a
a
it is a
type
mental
of mental
illness, dude.
illness,
I
I
deal
guess you
with
would
this
say.
every day with my son. He's got this
No,
shit.
but it's not this. But it's not the same thing. It's not the. It's not the.
It is caused from a
How would you
brain
say it?
injury. It's
It's.
caused by a brain injury, autism. So
But
most of the time from vaccines or this or that
wouldn't that
causes
be?
that.
I'm trying to think of. Wouldn't it be? It's the same thing, but wouldn't it be classified as something different? Like it's not. You're like. It's not the same thing as being schizophrenic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Like that's what I
schizophrenia.
mean.
See, yeah. I
Yeah,
see
but
what you're saying. Like,
it's still a mental illness. I'm
yeah,
just saying it's a different.
it's a different type of mental illness. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean by it. Like I mean, trust me, you don't have to have drugs to do the things people do on drugs.
Well, I mean, I know one thing: you can't stay up for 20 days straight. Naturally, you can't.
You shouldn't be able to stay up for 20 days unnaturally.
People do. I've seen people be up for 2 months, 2 months straight on meth.
No, see, but
They never slept a
they're
lick.
They're
2 months.
They're
You
sleeping.
can't do that naturally.
They're sleeping because I've seen that too.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
because that's when they see things. When they see things like, oh, I'm seeing shadow creep. Yeah, you're right. They have a dream state while they're awake, while their body is still being inhibited. And
I've watched somebody get in the car, drive home, come back the next day, sit down on the couch, sleep for about a minute and a half, and wake up and be like, no, dude, I didn't go do all that stuff. You can fall asleep with your eyes open and still functioning. Gets
that
very
could be
dangerous.
yeah, I know what you're saying. That could be. I've read a lot about that because of Laz had things similar to that before, but it's actually like a type of seizure.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
When
your
people
body
like
Tiff
was asking, but when people like fall asleep with their randomly just fall asleep with their eyes open and they just do something and they do random absent seizures. That's what it's called. Tiff's had it too.
Yes.
It's almost like spacing out, but you can sit there.
And they don't remember nothing that happened. They've done all kinds of things. They drove. They did everything like in the correct manner.
I've had it happen while I was driving, and I wound up on the opposite in the wrong lane.
And it just really depends on the kind of seizure it is. You know, like you can have absent seizures, like you're saying, where they do all kinds of stuff and they do it all right. Or you can have where they they're there. You see them awake and they're grabbing, holding the steering wheel, whatever. But they're
not there.
Yeah, and next thing they're crashing into another car. They're running a red light, or
like I said, I wound up in the wrong.
Which got for a long time they thought maybe yawning was a type of seizure.
Wow.
like yawn, it's your brain striving for oxygen. It's not you're tired. It's your brain needing more oxygen. So for a long time they felt that it was a yawn was your brain suffocating almost. I don't know if they still go on that whole thing, but that I know they used to.
I know. I'm pretty sure they know it now as a significant of tiredness. Basically, the body wearing down.
No. It has nothing to do with tired. It's everything to do with oxygen. I just don't know if they consider it a seizure still. But when you yawn,
no way
it's because your brain and When you yawn, it's because your brain needs oxygen, which would correlate in the fact that when you're tired, your brain has to work harder.
Yeah, that's why they say you're more susceptible. That's why for Laz, when they gave him, they wanted us to keep him on the Keppra. Like when they prescribed it to him, we'd give it to him at like 10:30 at night when he's supposed to be in bed, and because that's when you're more susceptible to a seizure is when the body is getting tired. You know, when you're tired, when you need sleep.
Or do they correlate that with it now?
Yeah.
Okay, I was asking.
That's why it drove us nuts for a while, because he would be sleeping, we'd wake him up to give him his Keppra, and about 5-10 minutes, the kid's wired in there. He's in there just banging against the crib till all 3 in the morning, because the Keppra would, it kind of wakes him up a little bit to keep the seizure state from ever getting started.
What was seizure? Yeah, so because a seizure is your body almost trying to reboot.
Mm-hmm. Literally, yeah. It's like it's kind of like a computer. When you're on a computer and you're doing something, all of a sudden, boom, it just froze. Boom, that's a seizure.
Yeah, exactly. Because a stroke would be your body shutting down.
Yeah, and
that's just how I remember.
There's all, and with computers, there's all kinds of weird seizures you can have. You can have it where it's or it's like getting all slow. Something taking forever to load. This and that. Yeah, those are like absent seizures. You know what I'm saying? It can be similar to that.
I've had friends who have had diabetic shock or are going to diabetic shock.
Yeah.
So
because their sugar went too high or too low.
Both. I've seen both.
I'm hypoglycemic. Mine gets too low, I can have a seizure. And Tiff too.
Well, typically it's if you have too much. No. Okay, so
if you have too much,
you have diabetes and it goes too low. You have those are the ones where it just happens out of nowhere. Yeah, when you have too much, those are the ones you feel, and those are the ones that are most dangerous because your body doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, and usually
those are the ones that can shut you down.
Well, no. That's what the
insulin's for.
Down like that. If your sugar drops, it can shut you down.
You don't get a warning. Yeah.
Well, if you've dealt with it for a long time, you get a warning ahead of time. Like you know what it feels like. So I know when my sugar is low. I can tell when my sugar is low. If I don't get something within the next 10 minutes, if I don't find something that's got like natural sugar, or if I take a candy bar, that'll work. But if you're like a diabetic person that took insulin a lot and they end up having a drop, and they took a candy bar and it inhibited, and their pancreas was still was inhibiting too much insulin, and then just slowed down and stopped right before the seizure. When you go to eat that, it'll completely stop. Way too much, and then their sugar's way up there.
Has steroid-induced diabetes because he had a liver transplant, and he literally, like a dumbass, will eat over sugar himself, and then insulin himself, so it brings it back down, which makes zero damn fucking sense. But yeah, it's if there is a dangerous one, it's definitely too much, actually.
Yeah, both are dangerous, but the too much one is way more dangerous because you can cause the ketoacidosis, or like losing a limb or this, or organ can fail on you. Yeah,
because your insulin, you don't have insulin, basically. You don't have anything to control that sugar.
Yeah, you don't have anything to control the breakdown of sugars for metabolizing.
Yeah.
Because like those people that say that you can't,
and I already got so much to research now.
Those things that drive me nuts about, especially when people, like I've heard it so many times, like, oh, don't take any sugar and blah blah blah, this and that, sugar's bad. Like that's the most dumbest thing to tell anybody, because you have to have sugar. It's just not the natural sugar. I mean, it's the natural sugar that you need. It's not this bullshit. When you get granulated sugars and stuff, that's not a natural state. It's not natural.
Gets confused. It doesn't know how to break it down.
It doesn't know how to break it down in the correct way. That's why if you source out natural sugars and you ate natural sugars throughout your life, you will have way less of a chance of passing diabetes or anything like that hereditary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you need those complex sugars. That's what you need.
But the
Not that
problem
process,
nowadays is
so
nothing is natural. Even when it comes to
yeah,
fruits, you got all this
exactly.
GMOs. So now even natural sugars will have random ass
Yep,
effects on you too, and that's why diabetes is in so
yep.
high recently because of higher fructose corn syrup. Because that's a genetically modified cornstarch to contain a higher fructose, and then that's what they extract their sugar molecules from, and then they bulk it all up. They what they call it? They compound it all up basically into a bunch of it, and then that's their sugar. It's liquid sugar, but it's not
Yeah,
natural.
100%. Yeah.
I don't know if you see that in the chat. That's the
Um.
thing I found for the yawning thingy.
Uh.
It's on the side chat in the hangout in the call.
Oh, I'm all looking inside. I'm like, where the hell did he? Okay. Yeah. So not so much your brain needing the air, your body needing it, trying to oxidize itself because it's tired. That makes sense.
I got all the shit in the seizure too right here. This one's pretty interesting. Like I've had this read up on a lot of this stuff when I was first dealing with my sugar issues and shit. The hell is it still there? Where is it? I just posted it in there in the side chat. It just shows the other one.
What's it called?
Fuck it. I'll just put it in the damn
I
hangout.
think. All right. Well, we're gonna talk about a fun thing now. It's not even fun, but I love it.
That was a good topic.
It's exact. It is by far my favorite. Sounds funny. My favorite parasite on Earth. We're gonna talk about some toxoplasma. Plasma. Like Jerry said, I don't know the last part. Toxoplasma. Have you heard of it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is.
It's Gandhi.
I call it the gangster. I call it the. Yeah, I call it the gangster parasite. So what happens is it comes from cats.
That's
and
where
then,
it's most commonly found. Actually,
yeah,
that's the only place
most
where they can reproduce sexually.
it can
is within
grow.
cats. Yeah.
So what happens is a cat will urinate or defecate, and this parasite
Yeah, feces.
makes that stuff smell nice. So a rat will come along, eat it or drink or lick it.
Oh shit.
Now is in that rat. Now the rat has toxoplasma. Now get this part.
Wow.
A specimen's brain. The rat becomes fearless of cats.
Starts attacking them. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yep, they will attack cats. So then what happens is the cat eats that rat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plasma, right back into the cat.
Yep. And it's got
Breeds,
a whole new.
does it over and over again.
Well, not just that. It also has probably a little bit different of a change in it too.
Nope. Just
There's
keeps
no change when it went from
cycling
cat's
itself.
anatomy to the rat. Especially
So
with
here's the
rat
problem with
being
it.
so much, nasty bacteria and
Well, here's the thing.
nasty shit.
So people have cats. Cats don't. It's not going to kill a cat. Cats don't. It doesn't make cats want to attack dogs. But it basically affects species differently.
Yeah.
But if you have a cat and you handle its litter box or it peed somewhere and you're cleaning it up and it has toxo, guess what? So toxo is only dangerous or only seriously dangerous for pregnant women.
Yep.
That's why you ain't supposed to let your pregnant lady scoop out the litter box if you got a cat.
Ever.
Because it'll
Yeah.
it has the potential to literally destroy that pregnancy, that baby.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think it's up to like
now, I believe
I think it's up to the first, what is it, babe? I can't remember. We looked when you
no, it's second trimester.
Second trimester, yeah, you're right. Okay. When changing a cat box
and
second trimester.
And then for me or for guys, this is what I like about it, and I believe I have it. It makes guys basically.
Can cause the baby to be premature. There's all kinds.
But it's one of the most awesome parasites in the world. is it is and it isn't the same parasite as horn. The hell's it called? I was just looking at it. Of course, I fucking put that page somewhere else. It is the same drug as a grr. I hate when I do that. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Same parasite as a
Yeah, what was that? You was right on it.
hayworm. There it is. A hayworm and the toxoplasma parasites are families.
What was that? Said hi, babe.
So what a hayworm does, and they have
Yes.
seen this multiple times in nature. Let me show you exactly what it does. What a hayworm does to an insect. So what a hayworm does, it gets into an insect's brain, makes basically, and if it does last long enough, it will literally consume the brain and grow.
Shit. Is that kind of similar to that
Right now,
one? I think they call it the zombie ant in South America.
yes,
Brazil.
yes, that is what it is. It's 100% what it is.
That's scary, yo.
This is realized also that when that if one of the insects were infected, and typically in ants do this all the time. Literally, take that specific ant as far from that colony as it possibly can, because if that thing spores, it will infect the whole colony.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. Did you ever see those little ant wars? How they have them? They'll have like the ant farms, and they'll introduce different types into. Did you ever see them things? Then? Is that where you got that from?
Yeah, I have. But let's go ahead and find one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I seen that. I watched that for about an hour and a half one day on TV.
Oh yeah,
I
I've
don't know
seen
if you
it
guys ever
quite a few
seen
times.
people on Flocka and stuff like that too much. And I always tell people this because this is scary because
Yeah,
they're
the
always
salvia
constantly
too.
showing us. Well, they're
Flocka
always
and
showing us
salvia.
the zombie shit with video games and movies and this and that. And it's so simple for something to go wrong with the human anatomy and the genes. What if these people are taking this stuff and their body gets an infusion of it and their body starts to keep reproducing that chemical?
Oh, look at that guy in Miami that ate the other dude's face.
Well, I think there's actually there might actually be a virus of some sort that does that. Like that they you know what I mean. That could be like a zombie apocalypse type thing.
Yeah,
I
well,
wouldn't
that's what I'm
doubt
saying. That's
that.
what I'm saying. It
I
seems
wouldn't
the
doubt
most
that.
similarities to it would be like that drug because these people are nuts on that stuff. They're freaking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if
I
they
think that
made
one
that?
dude. I think that one dude that ran into the back of that whatever the station
The
wagon or whatever
SUV,
it
it
was
was
head
SUV,
first.
yeah.
Yeah, he was on that stuff. That's
Yeah,
what.
he's on
That's what.
bad stuff. I've seen videos on those people on those things, and they chase people. This one dude was running towards a car that was driving towards him because he was trying to attack him, and he ran him over, and he got up and chased him again, like nothing happened. Dude flipped in the air like 3 times.
Hopped up on that crazy stuff.
Yeah. What if your body ended up getting an infusion in the genes, and it kept reproducing the chemical? Now you got zombies. You got real fucking zombies. Like a virus, they take that, they go and eat another dude, or they take a bite of another dude. They got that virus running in their body. They're gonna spread it to the next and the next and the next. Next, everybody.
Yep.
That's an actual possibility nowadays. As soon as I seen that flock of stuff, the first time I seen it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, the zombie apocalypse is coming."
That might have been the beta program of them testing it out,
right?
You know.
And I love it when you see it on TV. They want to crack down on the opiate problem and what is it called? Synthesized drugs and blah blah blah, and they're coming from the streets and everything. Hey, you already know they're the ones causing the problems with the opiate situation. So they're probably causing the damn problem with that too. I mean, to be honest, we wouldn't be in these situations if people wasn't trying to play God like that to that point, trying to control the body to that much of an extent. You know.
But that's always. I mean, I don't want to say always, because hopefully at some point in time it does end. But apparently, according to what we live in or whatever, that's always been the aim for them to have complete and total control over you physically and mentally, biologically, whatever the case may be. So.
Yeah, and the perfect example is like people like I always talk with people about it, and they're like, yeah, but they wouldn't make anything that would do that to people. Like, oh, really now?
Yeah.
Look, just turn on TV and you wait. I guarantee you can wait till one commercial. You're gonna see a damn commercial for a freaking drug that is, if you took in blah blah blah, if you took in the drug Pradaxa and your arm fell off, you know.
He said, "Yo, but you know the ill thing about those commercials are, it'll be like a 30-second commercial, and like 5 seconds or 10 seconds they'll actually say the name of the drug and what it's for, and then like the other 20 seconds they're just running down the list of side effects that can happen and what you should do if you OD.
That's so funny you said that too, because like it was literally like a week and a half apart. It was for that diabetes. It was a new substitute for an A1C inhibitor. What was it called?
I think I know what you're talking about too, and I just got all these names on my head now. For some reason, Invokana kind of pops out.
That was it. That's it. Invokana, yeah.
Okay.
And I remember it was in a week and a half. They had the commercial for Invokana on, and then a week and a half later, you see the law firm commercial about Invokana.
Yeah.
Record timing.
Well, see, you know why that is, though, right? Because
they don't do guinea pig testing anymore. They don't do that thing where if you want to do and get tested, and they'll pay you for getting tested.
This is how it goes down. What they do is the FDA is in cahoots with the drug maker. So the drug maker creates a drug, and then they want to get it out to the public as soon as possible because they want to make money. So then the FDA will actually pass it and say it's okay. They make a gazillion dollars off of it, and then when people start having side effects, they pay out the lawsuits because they done made so much money off of the drug sells itself. For them to drop, like 50 million, 100 million, or whatever the case may be on a lawsuit is nothing.
Yeah, and then that money each person that has it's gonna be like 5,000 at most.
Yeah, right. They get a little peanut, but at the end of the day, the company winds up putting out a whole bunch of money, but nobody really gets nothing out of it. It's nice.
I seen this exact video before. This is, I think, one I seen on BBC right there at the top.
It can wipe out whole colonies. And it's not just ants that fall victim.
Oh yeah, the ants.
There are literally thousands of different types of cordyceps fungi, and remarkably, each specializes on just one species.
This stuff tripped me out when I see this, man. I was paranoid as hell over some ants. So wait, what's going on right here, Sean? That's the
cordyceps fungus.
Oh. It looks like a moth. Oh, that's a moth. Yeah, it is. That's the fungus. Okay.
But these attacks do have a positive effect on the jungle's diversity. Things like these stop any one group of animal getting the upper hand. The more numerous a species becomes, more likely to be attacked by a cordyceps fungus.
You just reminded me about something. And this is a true thing because you can go and find this right now. I can show you the website to go look it up on the cloud seeding. It's an actual government website. Oh, where they put what the damn chemicals? One of them's like an aluminum.
You got aluminum. You got barium.
Yeah, aluminum and barium together. What it does is it reflects the sun away. It's been causing more problems with like mold and fungus to grow throughout.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I was talking about this yesterday. Like where I live, man, we get this black stuff.
Black mold.
Grows. Yeah, it's crazy. And I wonder, that's funny you said that. I don't ponder that for a minute.
Size of a grain of rice.
I still want to get a sample of it and take it to a lab or something.
Over a third of the caterpillar's weight.
Yeah, I won't even touch it. Just call them, tell them, you need to come pick this shit up.
Yeah, but it's all over the
larvae
concrete and
have
everything.
not yet
The only way you
finished
can get rid of it is by power washing it.
Post alive. So although they
Thing so
feast
nasty.
on the caterpillar's blood, not to touch a single one of its vital organs. This uneasy truce will not last. The larvae are fully matured. Suddenly, they begin to stir into action. For the past 2 weeks, Moon has protected them, but now they no longer need it. To complete the next stage of their life cycle, break out. The caterpillar's thick skin should be a solid barrier to the parasitic wasp larvae. But as their bodies have grown, they have developed tiny saw-like teeth. These jagged jaws are for one job only: cutting their way out. Stroke by stroke, the larvae slice through the tough layers of skin. At the same time, they release chemicals that paralyze the caterpillar. As the larvae break through, there is nothing it can do. Free at last, the larvae enter a new phase of development. Swiftly spin silken cocoons. These will provide the perfect environment for their final transformation.
You left those towels here for me, right?
One of the greatest dangers the larvae will face cells impregnated by other species of parasitic wasp. Incredibly, the wounded caterpillar helps them out. Usually, a caterpillar would spin a silken blanket to make its own cocoon. But the parasitized caterpillar spins his blanket on top of the wasp cocoons, giving them an extra layer of protection. Scientists believe the same wasp virus that infected it weeks before has now invaded the caterpillar's brain. Bizarre corruption of its normal behavior. Amazingly, the caterpillar's natural aggression is now also exploited by the wasp virus. The caterpillar becomes a bodyguard, actively protecting the cocoons from other parasites. It will watch over them unceasingly, eventually starves to death.
Animals are stupid. That's some crazy shit right there.
Yeah, it is actually pretty cool though how they actually go pretty much and take over another whole other body.
Yeah.
Yo, you
And
had
and completely be able to do it. Like it's not even like I hope this works. Like they're designed
that's
to do
exactly. Well, you know, there's a what do they call them? A human botfly. You ever heard of one of them?
it. Oh yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nasty.
I hope when people hear about it, they don't actually experience it.
Yeah, see, I'm like, I don't even recall where they're actually from, but I know when we were
South America.
over, Yeah, we were over in the Dominican Republic years ago, and I knew it was. I didn't know where it was, but I kind of knew it was like a Latin connection or whatever, whether it was Brazil or whatever. I just didn't realize. But we were over in the Dominican Republic, and I'm telling you, they got these bugs. They look just like human botflies. They look exactly like them. And I started tripping. I'm bugging out. I was like, "Yo, that looks like a human botfly." Everybody's looking at me like, "What the heck is that? What is a human botfly?" I'm trying to explain it, and they're looking at me like, "What the heck is this guy talking about?"
Yeah, you want to hear some real? In South America, there's a spider that lives in like rivers and streams. It's basically like a parasite spider, but it will crawl up your pee hole.
Yeah, when you're in the water.
Yep, and then it will.
That's why you're not supposed to pee in the water, because it's attracted to the salt.
Yep, and it will make your balls grow like basketballs until they explode.
Oh, that's crazy! Yeah, I'm like, I didn't think nobody knew about that. I'm like, because this,
Yeah, I was
say it was
parasites and stuff and fungus like that. Those are like my little hidden. Those are my hidden loves. Like I like looking at shit like that. Anything animal biology, I like.
Yeah, that's crazy to how that, man. Like, I ain't peeing. I won't even pee in the bathtub after hearing that.
You're not supposed to pee in the bathtub.
I'm just saying, but
showers,
a lot of kids do get in the bathtub. I don't take baths anyway. I take showers, but I'm just saying, I was just being smart. After hearing something like that, I wouldn't even pee in the bathtub. Just the thought of something going up, and you know what I mean? Like, really? Ouch! I don't know if I want to do that. That's nuts.
Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm done talking about my funguses and these my parasites.
I want to hear about the fungus. I'm just playing. I just walked back and I heard I'm gonna stop talking about my funguses. I'm like, oh my god, you look nasty.
I'm gonna take a little break, let my mind
you got
generate, and then I'm gonna go off, and then I'm gonna get back on in probably about an hour or two because I got some stuff.
Better.
Yeah, I got some. I told Dre earlier, believe it or not, Morgellons and our conversation, it actually extends to the Las Vegas massacre.
And you said that earlier too. Wow.
Oh, yeah, I heard you say something about that.
And I didn't realize what you were getting at. Now it's kind of, I see what you're saying. I thought you just meant that you were going to end that I didn't realize. Okay. Wow.
Nope. They correlate with each other 100%.
Okay.
It's noon here. I'm going live at 2:00 my time.
Oh,
I will explain.
You can go ahead and do that. You can continue. I was going to ask Dre something afterwards.
I will explain at 2:00 my time. 2 hours. I will explain exactly how Morgellons, our conversation, to do with Las Vegas.
That's wild.
So until then,
I want to know about that.
Yep, 2:00. I will spill the beans, people. I promise you, it will all correlate, and you'll be like, damn. So until then,
nice.
Thank you guys. McVice, Ted, you guys are always my soldiers. Thank you.
Awesome in the chat.
Dre, no, we're gonna go into also why Dre ain't ready for his channel to start up yet, but we'll do that later.
Say what?
Yeah, you need to. I need to teach your OBS though.
It is